the story so far.
Jaylan comes again, but Farah's going to get there. This is world domination for Farah. And Bolt's going to take the gold medal again. Unbeatable, unsurpassable. Christine's coming. She might just made it. Christina Hourigu is the world champion again. Shania Fraser-Pryce by an absolute mile. She is the best by a long way.
This is the Moscow Museum of Cosmonautics. Inside here, Russia celebrates its part in the race with the United States to be the leaders in space exploration.
Ground control to Major Tom.
Athletics has always been defined by its stars, a name for every era.
A majestic performance from the queen of distance running. This is world domination for Farah. Bolt's going to take the gold medal again. Unbeatable, unsurpassable.
But who's next?
This is Major Tom to ground control.
Kirani James of Grenada announces himself as one of the new stars of world athletics.
Look at Kirani James gliding round that top bend. Kirani James is going to take Olympic gold. Total dominance.
This is the current world and Olympic champion. He's 20 years old, from the tiny Caribbean island of Grenada. Is Kirani James about to go supernova? We shall see tonight. Well, we've been getting around this city. It's still hot and humid here, around 27 degrees today, and the world might be watching this athletics championships, but the Muscovites, well, so far they don't seem to be enticed in from their dashers in the countryside, although tonight might be that night, because Isinbayeva, their sweetheart who adorns all the posters here, is on show and hoping for another gold medal to add to her collection. What a day we had, what an evening we had last night. Christina Hourigu gave us so many emotions, the joy, the ecstasy of her victory and her outpouring of emotion. Well, not just hers, Denise was moved to tears, quite literally, weren't you? Calm down now?
I am calm.
I know you met her this morning. Was it an emotional meeting?
No, it was a rejoicing with her. She's in such great mood, obviously. She's in a good state of mind, happy, buoyant, and with her family and friends, so it's brilliant.
Good. Well, don't give too much away because we'll be seeing that shortly. First 24 hours in Moscow. Give me your lowdown.
I've been sleeping and sitting here next to Denise. What could be better?
You've been here before, though, right?
I've never been to Moscow.
Oh, right.
I've been to St. Petersburg, but this is my first time in Moscow.
Okay, so
Lots
first
of
impressions?
Traffic.
Really?
Lots
See, I
of
think the traffic's been quite easy compared to London. You're spoiled, you
Yeah.
see, with those big roads in America. Okay, we'll move on and show you exactly what you've got in store tonight. It's going to be another good one. Britain's Perry Shakes Drayton, Ailey Child and Megan Beasley are all looking to make the finals of the 400 metres hurdles. Can the support of the home crowd inspire Russia's Yelena Isinbayeva to gold in the pole vault? Katerina Johnson-Thompson is aiming for glory as the heptathlon reaches its conclusion tonight with the 800 metres. Whilst the same distance separates her fellow Brit Andrew Asagi from a place on the podium. Kenya's Milka Chamos has 2 bronze medals from previous championships, but is chasing the gold tonight. And it's looking like a straight shootout between LaShawn Merritt and reigning world champion Kirani James in the 400-metre final. And just so you can plan your afternoon and early evening perfectly, here you go. It's also the men's discus final. Remember Robert Harting, the hurdling German who won the gold in London? Well, he's on show, but it's a strong field. He's got tough opposition this evening. That 400 hurdle semi-final, we've got a full complement of women in that. And then it's the pole vault final with Isinbayeva. Can anyone get close to the Russian darling? We've also got a full complement of men in the 400 hurdles semi-finals after that. Di Green, of course, the reigning world champion, but he's not in the best form coming into this. Let's see if he can race himself into a final. And then Katrina Johnson-Thompson. I won't give you the exact details of her morning because that's coming up, but she's put herself in a really good position with the final event, the 800 metres at 5:10. We've got the 1500 semi-finals for women. Hannah England, of course, silver medalist from Daegu. And then the men's 800 final, which doesn't have any of the podium finishers from London. So it looks wide open, but the Americans really fancy their chances. But Andrew Asagi, finalist from London, will also hope to race himself up there. And then it's the 3000 steeplechase final. Of course, Ailish McColgan going in that as well. And then that 400 final, Kirani James and LaShawn Merritt. What a showdown that promises to be. So another grand evening in store, but last night is going to be hard to top. That incredible race. It wasn't just a gold, it was just the way she ran it, her guts, her determination. Christine Ohorogu, multi-gold medal winner on the global platform. She really is one of our finest athletes. So who better to send her along? And the morning after, the night before, than another of our finest athletes, Denise, went to meet Christine.
Christine, come to me. Let your fire touch me.
Round the top bend, Christine Ohorogu will have to try and stay in contact here. It's Moncho now who comes to the fore. Christine Ohorogu will start to run her down and is coming fast and is coming quick, but will it be quick enough? Griff Shapka on the far side as well, but Moncho, will she get there? Christine's coming, she might just make it, she might just made it!
How are you feeling the morning after the night before?
It's really surreal. I think like we prepared so much for this. From the camp, everything's been on point. I haven't thought of anything else but that final, pretty much the last 50 metres. That's all I've been thinking about. But now it's all gone. It's just weird. It's almost weird not having it there. It's weird.
And that moment you looked up at the screen, Christine.
Oh my goodness, that was the
What were you
longest way.
thinking?
Oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
We're waiting. She's looking, we're looking. She's got it! Another gold medal. Christine Ohorogu is the world champion again.
Across the line, I think, even though I've worked really, really hard, I really would love to come first. Please let me come first. And I couldn't want to look at the screen in case it wasn't me, but when my name came up, oh my gosh, that was the best feeling ever.
Christine Ohorogu is the world champion again and is also now the British record holder.
At what point did you realise that you had the national record?
I think it was straight away. I saw the time. I was trying to remember what the record was, and I thought, yeah, I've got it. I saw NR next to my name, so I thought, yeah.
By the smallest of margins,
smallest of
you
margins.
seem to do it every single
Smallest of
time.
margins, but you know, that's the one thing I wanted, was the national record. That's the one thing we've worked hard for. I mean, don't get me wrong, I wanted to win, but I wanted the national record more than anything. That's the one thing I've been working for this year.
What I get a sense of, Christine, is about how you inspire people. That seems to be something that's really important to you.
It is, it is. I think, you know, I always believe that we're here to, you know, you're blessed to be a blessing to other people. So I'm just trying to do my job as best as I can. From a big family, so I've got loads of young ones coming after me, and I just want to set the right example for them and give them something to aim for. I've been fortunate enough that I've been successful and I've been able to make things work, but I think people have to realise these things are not given to us. We have to go out in the world and take what we want. You know, nothing's going to be handed over to you. You know, it's not going to be easy. The last 3 days are probably the hardest 3 days I've had in my life. But, you know, perseverance works.
It's just been such a pleasure watching you, and with all the disappointments you've had,
Yeah, it's come through.
the one word that comes through, as you said, is perseverance.
Yeah.
You've got a big heart, Christine Ohorogu, and we're very proud of you.
Don't make me cry.
Don't.
Christine, I'll be good to you.
Well, you almost brought her to tears again.
It's amazing how she just feels and seems so complete. You know, she said that the national record was everything that she was working towards this year, and that's so important. That you said after London finishing second, she really thought she could have won gold, but then she reassessed, new goals, and she achieved it. It's just brilliant. The story is amazing.
We said in the build-up, didn't we, even the day before, that perhaps she was going to have to run a national record to beat Moncho, not knowing whether that was a possibility. She knew, obviously, she felt she could do it, Michael, but executing it is another thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think, as Christine said in that piece, this is what they've been working on all year. And I think Christine and her coach, Lloyd Cowan, always have known that she can run much faster than she's run. And now she was able to put it together. And I think that's why, she was so proud of not just winning, but as she said, the national record. Because I think that national record was a real target for her over the years, because although she's won the championships, most of the time when she's won in a time probably slower than she would have wanted, because she always knew she could run faster.
And do you feel, when you're obviously such an uber athlete as she is there a responsibility almost that you feel you can't leave the sport? And did you feel like that you can't leave the sport without leaving that kind of indelible mark on it?
Well, I think what it is and it's unique to each individual. I mean, so for me, I knew that I was capable of breaking a world record. I mean, I had gotten so close to it so many times, so it would have been a huge disappointment to leave the sport without having done that. And I think for Christine, it's not so much a world record, and it may not even be, it's the national record, but also I can run so much faster than this. You want to run as fast as you can. You want to do the best you possibly can and leave your career when it's over and say, I don't think I could have gotten much more out of myself than that.
We know that she leaves it late. I mean, she does it every time, and yet you still have your heart in your mouth when, that final bend, she comes off it, and she's usually 4 or 5 back. But last night, was incredible. This is 2007, where, again, Denise, it was modus operandi as normal.
I know, but this is the way Christine runs, and you're not going to change her. This is the beast. This is her. And as much as Lloyd has tried to work on that first 200, and he has, and she is getting better, she feeds off clawing people back. This is what makes the animal, she loves that challenge. And, we're talking about that national record, the process of getting there, I think, is what has enjoyed her the most, knowing that you can sit down at the beginning of a season and put together a plan and make it work, and I think she's thrived on that.
But, this is the one thing, though, that, I think that she realized this year, and Lloyd as well. This is last night, and so she's much closer to the pack at this point. And that's because she's realized over the years, and I'm sure Lloyd has been trying to work with her and say, look, you can't just sit back there and run a slow 200 and then just come back every time and pull it out, at the last minute. It's not going to work for you every time. And that's what I had to do in order to break the world record. I had to finally overcome a barrier, which is basically, you got to get out. My coach is telling me every year, you got to get out of the blocks in the 400 the same way you do in the 200. And I was always saying, but it's 400 meters, it's twice the distance. I'm not going to do that, that's crazy. And when I finally did it, I broke the world record. And I think that's what we've always wanted to see out of Christine. I've known she can run much faster than she's run. I sat there last year in London going, could she have won it if she was going out further and faster and attacking that first 200 meters? That's the 400-meter runner in me saying, I'm not quite satisfied with that. We're celebrating this, and it's great. I mean, she's had a great career, but I'm always looking at it thinking, what more could she do? And I think that she finally got that.
So you think there are still goals? Because obviously that national record must have been a huge one, as she said, to overcome it. Do you think there are still goals there for her?
She can still run faster than that. Again, if you put yourself in position at 200 meters with the rest of the athletes, I mean, Christine, part of the reason she has a strong finish is because she wasn't really running the first 200 meters. But at the same time, she is still a very strong athlete, stronger than the rest of them, and she's pretty quick as well. You put that combination together and you find the right race strategy that really speaks to that works toward her gift and her combination of gifts. She can run faster than that.
Let's just put into kind of some context, if you like, her achievements, because we had this debate, well, you were having it mainly with Jonathan and Colin in the back of the car on the way home last night about whether or not she is the greatest of all our female athletes ever, and there were all kinds of different kind of barriers to overcome. Is it golds? Is it championships? And in terms of sheer golds from major championships and added together with bronzes and silvers, she's level on 6 with Kelly Holmes, and it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because everybody, Denise, is in their own era, and there's you're up there yourself with 4. Is that a good way to judge her?
I mean, we were talking about it and saying, if she has the world record, it's never going to happen, I don't think.
There's 2 seconds to take off.
Yeah, exactly. It would put her class above the rest.
Shoulders, yeah.
But I just think, the criteria has got to be a gold medal. You think a world record as well. But she is up there. I mean, what she's done, back-to-back championships, medaling, and she has the Olympic gold medal. She's impressive. She really is.
She doesn't need us to tell her she's the greatest ever. I think there's a groundswell of feeling right now.
But can I say something? none of this matters to her. You know, none of the medals are nice. She takes a great pride in how she inspires others, and that's what I really got out of the interview today. She wanted that national record because, again, being the best in your country is one thing, but it is solidified by having that national record as well. And that Jessica Ennis felt the same way about being the best, winning medals, but not owning that British record, and now she does.
OK, we'll leave Christine there for the moment. Mo Farah was back out on the track this morning. It was the first heat for the 5K. And he made it look quite a stroll in the park, relatively. He was there with his training partner, Galen Rupp, behind him. In the end, I think he crossed the line 5th. But this really wasn't going to test him too much, was it? This is just about qualifying and getting himself there.
No, this was really about qualification, and really, according to Paula, she felt that it was about getting Galen Rupp to qualify because it was the second of the heats, and you know, these guys should have been running quicker and they didn't, and Mo wanted to manage the race, and as you see, he came through here just with Galen, and it was
not spend too much energy. Just look at the two of them. It looks like they're just running around Oregon having a nice training run, doesn't it? How are you today? Yeah, cappuccino afterwards? Well, Mo Farah and all of us are hoping that you'll be there to watch him go for what would be an incredible double on Friday.
Have a cup of tea, chill out. Mo's in the race. You've got to have that confidence. You've got to believe in yourself. You've got to go in every race knowing that, yes, I'm going to win. Well, I'll fight to the line. The final thing's going to be quite exciting.
This is world domination for Farah.
5:45, BBC One Friday. Mo says cup of tea. It's the end of a working week. If it's stronger, I'll forgive you, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind either, but do join us for that. It promises to be a thrilling race. So today was the second and final day of the heptathlon. Let's show you how the ladies got on.
Daphne Schippers of the Netherlands came to the long jump this morning full of optimism after a blistering 200 meters yesterday evening, which put her in contention for a medal. She sped down the runway and leapt out to 6 meters 35, 959 points. If she could employ the sort of speed she does on the track and transfer that into long jump, she'd absolutely fly. Brianna Tyson-Eaton was back in the medal hunt too. She was one of the best long jumpers on display this morning. A couple of centimeters further than Daphne Schippers, 6 meters 37. She was maintaining her presence in this heptathlon competition. But then the leader, Gana Melnichenko, she's been at the top of the leaderboard now for the majority of the 7-event heptathlon. The long-legged Ukrainian leapt out to 6:49 and over 1,000 points once again. Then it was down to Katarina Johnson-Thompson, world junior long jump champion, after a foul in the first round. She got it together in round 2. She absolutely nailed the takeoff, went out to 6 meters 56, even more points than Melnichenko, and she improved by 1 place and moved up to 5th. Then it was the javelin, the penultimate event. Brianna Tyson-Eaton once more had one of the best throws of her life. 45 meters 64, 776 points, and she was certainly in the driving seat as far as the medals were concerned at the moment. The European champion Antoinette Nanajimo-Ida, representing France, always comes on strong in the latter half of day 2 of the heptathlon. Well over 50 meters and 908 points, 52 meters 47 for the French champion, and she too was in the hunt for a medal. Then came the leader, Melnichenko. All the remaining throwers were round about the same sort of distance, but Melnichenko has been getting lots of personal bests throughout this heptathlon, and once again the Ukrainian posse was supporting their champion. Katarina Johnson-Thompson was consistent, if not brilliant, during the javelin. A season's best in round 2. This was her 3rd and final throw. She's never been over the 40-meter line in competition until this time. Just over 40 meters. The Liverpool Harrier, another personal best, her 3rd in a row. And then Daphne Shippers, the speed merchant, finds the javelin a little bit difficult, but she just nipped in with 41.47, a little bit ahead of Katerina. And she consolidated her third place position. So with just the 800 meters to go, it's a fascinating situation. It's like a book when you're not going to find out what happens until the very last page of the last chapter. 5,619 points for Melnichenko. I think she will win gold. Brianna Tyson-Eaton, 5.551, just ahead of Daphne Shippers. But then it's very complicated. Between 4th place and 8th, there's around about 88 points. Anybody could pick up the bronze medal, including Britain's Katarina Johnson-Thompson.
So what an exciting 800 metres it promises to be. Brianna's husband is here.
Hello.
Ashton Eaton. Hello, how are you?
I'm nervous.
I bet you are. We'll talk a bit more about that in a moment. But first we wanted to relive your fantastic gold medal winning couple of days. So
Thanks.
Have a look at how he won the gold here.
Watch out for Ashton Eaton. Ashton Eaton is coming away from everybody. Very, very quick indeed. Can he produce something special in the third and final round? That looked pretty good to me. He is some athlete. The world record holder. It looks as though he's gone a long way. Well, he is the man. Ashton Eaton is running one of the best 400 meters of his life. Ashton Eaton by an absolute country mile, 46.03. At the end of day one, he's on top of a pile. Eaton starts his charge on day two. A good final throw in this decathlon competition by the Olympic champion. Really explosive. There is nothing this young man can't do. That was one of his best throws ever to confirm his status as the top athlete leading into the final event. Will anybody beat Ashton Eaton in the years to come? He's absolutely superb as a multi-eventer.
Olympic and world champion sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
It does sound very good.
But the night before your then new wife starts her onslaught and her efforts to win a gold medal here, I don't suppose you've had too much time to sit down and enjoy the champagne.
I haven't. Actually, it's whatever 10 plus 17 is, a deca-heptathlon. That's what I've been living through.
So literally, I saw a tweet that she said, how can I sleep after she just watched you win that? That was obviously the night before her first event. So, so for you now, it's just being a bag of nerves and being a supportive husband for 2 days, is it?
That's really all it is. She has the coach who coaches both of us, obviously, to help her out technically, and I'm kind of there as an emotional support. At least I think I'd like to be. You know, sometimes I may say the wrong thing, but as long as I'm a smiling face that just can comfort her, I think
if I was a heptathlete, I think Ashton would be the ideal husband. Denise, do you think?
It seems like a pretty cool guy. He knows the events. Listen, you know the ups and downs, the emotional switching that you have to do, and you know the wrong word at the wrong time could be devastating. You've got to keep your head in the right frame, and he's an expert at it.
Yeah, it's true. Sometimes at home we've been together long enough and we train together, so we know kind of the ups and downs each other go through. And if there's something I'm not supposed to say, you know, she'll tell me. Like, that's not helping at all. And she's a very stern individual, but that's why I like her.
So you've presumably done the maths. You know exactly what she's got to do tonight.
That's right. That's right. She's 68 points down from Melnichenko, and Melnichenko's PB in the 800 meters, I think, is 2:12. And Brianne basically has to beat it by 5 seconds if she wants the gold.
I noticed this morning, I was watching on Russian television actually, and she had a poor throw. One of her throws in the javelin wasn't very good,
No.
and they immediately, the camera cut to you, and you were going, oh.
Did I just have a devastating
There wasn't
look?
a supportive face, that one. That was a disappointed face. I thought, good she can't see you there. But we know about the little kind of incident with the javelin as well that you had in training, so I was slightly worried there that, you know, she was actually going to aim it at you. So she kind of grazed your nose in
Literally
training.
grazed my face. Like, we were out in the training field, I was to her left, I go out to pick up my javelins with no concern, and then I hear my name screamed bloody murder, and instantly I knew a javelin was heading for my back, and I thought, what am I going to do? For some reason I turned and looked, and I saw a flash of purple, which I knew her javelin was purple. And I just turned my head really quick, and as soon as I turned my head, the javelin just scraped right under my nose and stuck into the ground. And
the least you
maybe
could
it
do
was a
is
warning. But then we got married, so I think
Make sure you don't upset her now, right?
I was going to ask you, what did you do the day before? What had you done to deserve that?
I don't know. I should think about that more.
So are you literally kind of living every day kind of on the track, in the gym, together? You do all your training together?
I mean, we literally do all of our training together. Sometimes we split up the training so coach can get us one-on-one because there's different cues for each of us. but every day we go through the same thing. And you know, you hear stories about people who live together and work together, and it's usually not so good. You know, sometimes they have struggles, and we've had our ups and downs, but we've definitely, it's an evolution, and we know our bad days, we know our good days, we know when to not talk track, and we definitely know when to talk track, and sometimes we'll just be glued to YouTube, like trying to figure things out, and sometimes we'll be like, you know.
So what does an Uber couple like you two do to chill out then?
We actually do nothing, because as athletes, rest is a very important part of training, and it's like, what kind of fun things can you do when you rest? You can watch movies, and I can play video games. She can look on Pinterest now, like thank God for Pinterest, because it keeps her occupied. But
well, you know, we have a rich heritage of multi-eventing in Great Britain, and I know that you yourself, you were a big Daley Thompson fan, weren't you? Yeah. So Daley, obviously, this was one of the stadiums where he won one of his Olympic golds back in 1980. What was it about him that you loved so much?
His ability to grow a just solid mustache. It would literally take me 3 months.
We're trying to get him to shave that. I've tweeted and asked him, isn't it time it goes now, Daley? But he said, nah, this is my trademark, it's here to stay.
It is a trademark. You know, it reminds me of one of those Chips police.
Yes.
You guys know that? Yeah,
Poncho.
That's the one.
Yeah.
But you know what? He's just a bastion of the sport, and his determination, and he's one of only 2 guys to win Olympic golds back-to-back.
Well, your female counterpart, if you like, in London was our very own Jessica Ennis-Hill, as she is now, because like you, she's got married this year, although not to a fellow decathlete, an ordinary bloke.
Yeah.
It's a different way of doing things, but she's not here, sadly.
Yeah, it's sad, but you know, Jessica, she doesn't have anything to prove. I mean, she proved it all last year and the year before, and she's a fantastic person to have in the sport, and I'm glad to be competing in her era, because it's just, what she does is pretty spectacular.
And Brianna too, is it good for her when there are, you know, having people like that to look towards?
It's ridiculous. Like, Brianne would just watch Jessica on YouTube, and like, because there's videos posted and things like that, and she'd see what she does, and we literally bought the same camera that they use for training, for our training. And so, you know, she looks up to her, and it's kind of like, whatever she's doing, I want to try to mimic some of that and get some of that for my training. So it's, as athletes, we look up to people like that.
Absolutely. Well, we're sad she's not here, but we do have our own Katarina Johnson-Thompson, who's just 20 years old, and you know, obviously she's got herself a few PBs here already. She's put herself right in the mix going into this 800, and if she can run a PB tonight, then Denise, you know, a medal could be hers.
Yeah, it really could. She knows, by this stage of the heptathlon, everyone's done the maths, they've sat down with the point scores, they've worked out exactly who their target men or women are, and they know what they have to do, whether it's to track a particular athlete or to go out hard. And you know what I've been very impressed with Katarina is she was a bit disappointed after day one. She finished on a superb 200 meters, but then she's come out and done 2 personal bests, you know, in the long jump and the javelin. I mean, that's just sensational, and now she's in the hunt for a medal.
And we're kind of wondering, Michael, just how good she can be, because on average, our great heptathletes have put on at least 1,000 points, moving from juniors to seniors. And if you have a little look at the history of British heptathletes, Denise was about 1,000 points, Kelly Southerton a lot more than that, Jessica Ennis-Hill herself about 1,000 points. And if Katrina Johnson-Thompson puts 1,000 on that, you know where she's going. It's a world record.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, I think what happens is, you know, when you have Kelly Southerton, Denise Lewis, you start to develop a heritage, and you're going to have junior athletes who are going to be performing much better. And so that transition from junior level to senior level is going to see a little bit of contraction, I believe, in terms of what they're going to be able to do. So I wouldn't take that as an absolute projection.
But still, she's got a big future then.
Oh, absolutely. She's got an incredible future, and it's because of people like Denise and Jessica who's set the pace.
Paved the way. We'll talk more about her specific attributes a little bit later on as we get towards the 800. I'm still intrigued about the domestic life of the Eatons. So before tonight, we knew we couldn't get you until a certain point, because you stay with Brianne right until the last minute, do you? And she likes that.
She does. I grew up.
It's your routine.
It's maybe a routine. She says I make her comfortable. Most of the time, I'm just like trying to gauge what her attitude is like and see what I can do. But we balance each other really, really well. I think I'm the more fun, playful one, and she's can be playful at times, but in this kind of situation, she's very serious and kind of needs somebody to lighten it up a bit. So I'll crack a joke that I think is just ridiculous, but she'll smile, so helps.
Well, listen, I hope you're both smiling from ear to ear tonight.
I know.
Very
and,
best of luck.
You know, even if something goes wrong or whatever, I think we'll still be smiling. Just we're able to be here together. That's.
And then a honeymoon maybe later in the year.
I think a honeymoon, it's
don't take the javelins,
that.
Will you?
Yeah, stay away from sharp things.
Congratulations, great to have you here, and looking forward to seeing your journey together towards Rio as well. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, well, the clock is ticking down to those 400-meter hurdle semi-finals. The women's is first, and as I say, we have a full complement tonight.
The Olympic sitting goes as I may have dreamt of it, or liked for it to have ended. But you know, I learned from that experience, and I channeled that, you know, disappointment into my winter training.
Last year for me was the best of the years I've had. I started really well, and then it just all went downhill from there. And then I was just kind of going through graduating uni, and then I just got worse and worse and worse out of the season and didn't make the Olympics. So I just sort of went on holiday. I thought, I'll forget about athletics for a while. I came back with like a renewed love for the sport.
I think kind of last year I was in better shape to run faster than what I actually did, but this year I feel like I'm running to form, I'm running in the shape that I should have been. And it's gone really well, and it's good to sort of back up. You know, I had ran my PB in Gateshead, and it was good to back up again in Birmingham the following week, run another PB. And I'm really happy with the season so far, but obviously I want to sort of deliver when it matters.
It's great to have Ailey and Perry here, and it makes me kind of think, well, if they can do it, then I can do it as well. So I'm just kind of following in their footsteps, hopefully. I just want to maybe tag on to the back of them.
The point is really I need to take every round as it comes and, you know, finish it up, you know, one of the top positions, because in the past, like in Olympics, I finished third and I just missed out on making to the final. So for that semi-final, you know, you have to treat it kind of like a final.
I think I'm just going to treat it as a normal race, because if I think too much about it being the World Championships, I'll probably just get a bit too nervous. So I've raced a lot of the girls all season. I've been competing against them, and you just go and race, and it's just another run. I just want to run fast.
Definitely want to make the final. This is my third World Champs, and I've never made the final yet. I've only made the semis. First and foremost, I want to be in that final, and then if I can go in there and just, you know, perform to the way I've been running this season, you know, run a PB, run my best race in that final, then I'll be delighted, you know, whenever I finish. As long as I can kind of step off the track, knowing that I've left everything on the track and, you know, I've done my best.
As an athlete, you do train, you know, hard to be, you know, to win medals. I would love to come home with any kind of medal, to be honest with you, because it would be a big improvement. Making it to that final, that's going to be really important and like a relief for me as well. And then after that, you're thinking, nah, last one, this, you know, you've got to give it all you got.
Ailey and Megan in the first semi-final, along with the favourite Henova. Andrew Cotter is your commentator.
Yeah, certainly of the two Britons involved here, Ailey Child has the best chance of going through, and a pretty good chance, but I think everybody trying to hang on to the vest of Zuzana Henova there of the Czech Republic in lane 4. Beasley inside her will be good to try and measure herself against Henova. Dalilu Muhammad, the US champion as well. Nikisha Wilson, very strong Jamaican. And just the first 3 go through here, 2 semi-finals, plus the 2 fastest losers. There is Nikisha Wilson. Irina Davidova, the European champion last year in Helsinki, getting a big roar from the Luzhniki Stadium, but really about a second off that kind of pace now. Closest to the crowd on the outside, she may need their help. Run quickly through them for you again. Hanna Yaroshuk of Ukraine in 1, Christine Spence of the United States in 2. Megan Beasley goes in 3, Henova in 4, Muhammad in 5, Ailey Child there in 6, Nikisha Wilson in 7, and Irina Davidova in lane 8. First of 2 semi-finals in the women's 400 meters hurdles. Away they go. Look out for Hejnova in lane 4 and Ailey Child out there in lane 6. And in between them, Dalilah Muhammad, the US champion. There is Hejnova. And it's fairly even at the moment. And Megan Beasley trying to keep pace. She hit a hurdle hard just about here in the heats and managed to recover well. Still even between Beasley and Hejnova and Dalilah Muhammad and Ailey Child. Child running strongly in lane 6, 3 only to go through automatically. Plus the 2 fastest losers. Now Hejnova making her move and Muhammad and Beasley starting to fade a little bit, but Child still looking strong. And these 3 begin to separate themselves a little bit. Nikisha Wilson trying to stay with them from Jamaica. Beasley beginning to fade a little bit, but still a good run from Beasley. Hejnova though, imperious at the moment over the final barrier. And Dalilah Muhammad comes through as well. Ailey Child will get there for the 3rd automatic qualifying place. It goes to form 53-53 for Zuzana Hejnova. But Child has done enough. She will be in the final.
I'm watching this race very, very carefully indeed, and I'm thinking, I just said to Steve, I'm thinking that Ailey could possibly have done a personal best, because it was a good, strong performance by her, because in the semi-final, you know, you've really got to work hard. There's no messing about. You focus, you get into the groove of your stride length, and you work all the way to the line. Hejnova, I think, is the clear favourite for this title. She's been strong all season, but Ailey Child has worked hard for that 3rd spot to get that automatic qualifying spot. And just glancing at the scoreboard and seeing the result, she's just shy of her personal best. But it's a good performance. She's in that final, and of course that's the most important thing.
You know, things are opening up behind Hejnova is the clear favourite, but with Khalees Spencer going out and being disqualified, Georgianne Malin falling, and Natalia Antiuk isn't really in the best of form, so things are opening up behind Hejnova, and who knows what might happen in the final.
Oh yes, and we know hurdlers at the best, even at their best, can be quite clumsy. They can lose a little bit of focus, but boy, she's in that final.
And a word as well, Megan Beasley, it's been confirmed she's gone below 55 seconds, 54.97, a personal best for her, as we look at Ailey Child running her way towards that final, which will take place on Thursday. So a personal best for Beasley, through to the final for Ailey Child. Perry Shakes Drayton to go, but a very, very impressive run from Ailey Child, and Ailey Child and Megan Beasley are both talking to Phil.
Cheers, Andrew. Both with very impressive performances, a personal best, and Ailey through to the final. Let me start with you. This has been your goal all year, and you've done it.
It has. I'm more than been. I wanted to come here and make the final, and that wasn't even a good race. So to run that fast, technically not been that good. I'm just so delighted I got to the final.
So close to your personal best, and you've got a personal best here, and you've come for the experience, I know, and to perform like that, you must be thrilled.
Yeah, happy to be here. I came here knowing I could run 54. Still wasn't a perfect race, so hopefully I can go even quicker now doing it like that. Bit disappointed not getting to the final, but I'll be cheering Ailey on.
Well, you said at the interview we saw just before that, you know, it's great to have these 2, Perry Shakes Drayton, Ailey Child, to inspire the likes of you, and now we're seeing you come along and bearing fruit for Britain as well.
Yeah, hopefully next time round we'll all be in the final.
That's great to hear. Ailey, your hopes and expectations for the final, now you've made it.
Just got to go for it all and leave everything I have on the track, and hopefully I can come with another PB, then I'll be delighted.
Tremendous effort from both of you. Well done.
Thank you.
Let's just confirm things for you there. Personal best for Megan Beasley, below 55 seconds. Hejnova, though, looking very, very strong indeed. Dalilah Muhammad and Ailey Child go through automatically.
Perry Shakes Drayton ready to go in her semi-final, just a few minutes away. Seen her 2 teammates go through, well, sorry, Ailey go through, and a really good run from Megan Beasley as well.
And the men's discus has just started. It's going to be led by Robert Harting, the defending champion. He's actually going for 3 titles in a row. Peter Malachowski, 4th longest in history. Gerd Kanter is throwing as well, a former champion, former Olympic champion. This field is full of talent. Only one man missing is the championship record holder, Virgilius Aleknap. So here goes Kanter. First round. Always so fast at the end. Nicely on balance too. Around about 65-meter mark there. That could be enough to take the lead. Well, Peter Malachowski it is, who's in the lead at the moment, 64 meters 49. That looks as though it's in excess of that. And Kanter has already won gold, silver and bronze in World Championship history. 64.90, he's in first place.
So Perry ready to go in lane 5. Not a bad lane at all. And she's seen Heinova, her big rival, get through safely, and we need the same from Perry. Bowden, Tracy, Titimets, Dimas, the defending champion, Sheikh Straighten, Rosalova, Stambolova and Anchuk, the Olympic champion. They are the 8 athletes. Well, Dimas is not in the sort of shape that she won the world title 2 years ago with, and Perry, number 2 in the world. Of those who are here, 53, 67th set in London in the Diamond League. Best shape of her life. Huge opportunity. Rosalova, the Czech Republic athlete, European indoor champion a couple of years ago on the flat, and then moved up to the hurdles, has done pretty well. Well, a few years ago, Stambolova had a huge progress and then subsequently had a doping suspension. I'd have explained it. Anchuk, well, the Olympic champion is just not in shape. She's here, she hasn't raced 55.2 in qualifying. Big cheer from the crowd, but out there in lane 8. Don't think she's going to be much of a threat to Perry. Looking resplendent, and just needs a safe semi-final. Qualified, top 3, 2 fastest losers also from that first heat, 54.92, 54.94. Megan Beasley just 0.03 of a second, just missing out. Good PB though, 54.97. Final is on Thursday evening. Big crowd in here tonight. Much better atmosphere. Away safely enough, Sheikh Straighten. Not the quickest of starts. Dimas, as ever, out quickly. And as they rise over the second barrier, it's the American who leads. Sheikh Straighten going with her now, down the back straight. Anchuk, the Olympic champion, also started pretty quickly, but she may well fade. Fitness will tell. So Dimas and Perry, Sheikh Straighten has accepted the Americans' challenge here, and the two of them pretty level through the first 200 meters into the 5th barrier. Dimas now just forging ahead a little. Anchuk still there in the top 3 position. Rosalova coming through though. It's Dimas, the defending champion. Much better from the American this. And haven't seen this all year from Lucinda Dimas, and really takes the penultimate barrier really well. Now that's one to go. Perry just needs to get over safely. It's all about qualifying, and here comes Perry, Sheikh Straighten. Very, very good, and it's going to be Titimets who comes through for the 3rd spot, 53.93. Well, she took the challenge of Dimas, didn't she? Dimas really went through. That's where Dimas runs. And I just thought for a little while maybe Dimas is back to her best, and then all of a sudden, what we've been seeing more recently, Perry, Sheikh Straighten strong over the last 2 flights.
The most important thing, Steve, I think we've all seen Perry on the flat this year, and it's a very, very long running, around 35 meters from that last hurdle into the line, and that's where Perry can really use that sprinter speed, and she demonstrated that perfectly well today. Remember, it's important to win your semi-final to get one of those 2 lanes, either lane 4 or 5, in the final, because it makes your job a little bit easier. Here's Perry, she's in lane 5, taking a nice, steady, controlled first half of the race, making sure that the stride pattern is correct, making sure that it's accurate. She sets herself up for every single barrier, whilst inside Dimas went off like a rocket, as expected, and came up to Perry's shoulder quite early around this turn, but no panic from Perry, and that is the most important thing. She sticks to a stride pattern, she knows what she can do, she's got to be accurate the whole way round, because she has a real internal belief that coming off that last barrier with all this newfound sprinting speed, that she can really deliver a strong run-in, and that is exactly what she did. Still a little bit unsure when you come to the change down, which is always between hurdle 7 and hurdle 8 in the 400-meter hurdles. But you know what? It doesn't matter today, because the important thing that she keeps ahead, she keeps strong, works into that line, and gets one of those priority lanes, 4 or 5 in the final. Steve.
Nice and relaxed. It's always tough, and you talk about your stride pattern, and with the likes of Demas there, you cannot take any chances. And she gets the victory, and I think she's just about got her breath back. She's with Phil.
It's hard work, it's brutal work, but you make it look so easy and effortless at times. A tremendous performance. How do you feel, first of all, about making the final?
I'm pleased. It's a progression. I'm through to the final. Of course I'm happy. My first senior final in the world, I feel good. Rest tomorrow. Back on Thursday.
The great thing was, when we spoke at the anniversary games, you ran so well coming into the home straight, and then you said at the end of the race, I've just got to get that finish, going to work in it for a couple of weeks, and there's the proof of your work right there.
Yeah, the end bit was a bit we were working on. I'm getting there. I'm through, so I couldn't be even more happier.
And we've been talking about you all along as not only a finalist but a potential medalist, and with that kind of form, you must be thinking big things.
Of course, I'd love to come home with some kind of bling, but again, we won't say too much. Just wait and see.
Just do your thing.
Thank you, yeah.
All the best.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. So far, so good for Perry. 53.92, not quite as quick as Hejnova, but safely through. 54.22, season's best for Demas. Much better from her. She might be a danger yet. Titi Metz, personal best. Big run from her. 54.63, 2 fastest losers from the first semi-final.
So Robert Harting, after a very disappointing first throw, goes into the circle for his second round throw. Gerd Kanter in the lead. This looks better. That discus is flying well over the 65-meter mark. Well, the roll of honor in terms of champion over the last 3 World Championships has been Harting, and Kanter. We almost had another former champion here. Couldn't quite make the final, though. That, of course, was Virgilius Alekna. Goodness only knows how he throws that 2-kilogram discus so far. That is superb. 68-13. A big lead for Robert Harting of Germany. Now, how can the former leader respond to that? Kanter was leading after the first round with 64 meters 90. A little bit off balance, but such speed at the end, and that is his first throw over 65 meters, but nowhere near the distance Robert Harting threw. That really was a superb throw by Harting in very still conditions. If you're a right-handed discus thrower, you need a nice little wind coming in from your right-hand side into your face as you throw it. There's no wind in this stadium at all. 65.19, he's in second place.
Well, in second place as far as qualifiers, Perry-Sheikh Straighten. Can she head Hejnova in the final? Well, that on Thursday. Don't forget, there's all the qualifiers. Ailey Child making through. Megan Beasley just missing out by 0.03 of a second. 2 fastest losers, Yarashik and Wilson.
Well done to the British women. Megan Beasley with a PB. You can't ask more than to run the best you've ever run in your life when it comes to this stage. We should just say, Perry, if you don't know Perry-Sheikh Straighten, if you're kind of relatively new to athletics, she looked there, it was so funny because she's so chatty and so kind of noisy, but she also seems to suffer really badly post-race in getting her breath back compared to a lot of other athletes. And so she kind of, well, obviously I don't run 400-meter hurdles, but I always, whenever I interview her, she's kind of like always doubled over and takes her time, and it looks almost like she's not answering the question and she's trying to kind of be cool, but actually she's just getting her breath back, isn't she?
She is. That is such a tough event. It really is.
Don't worry, I'm not denying that, by the way.
And so, again, and also at that stage of a race, it's critical that the athlete stays in the moment. She's clearly going through these championships thinking about her end goal. And yes, answering the question. Sometimes the wrong question at the wrong time can throw an athlete's mind. You don't want to be distracted any which way. You want to stay comfortable and confident.
I suppose we're used to seeing a kind of after a Diamond League race where it's a one-off race and a one-off event, and she's got a championship head on. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. She seems there to be just a bit different to how we see her on the circuit.
That's right. And, you know, she's coming here with her own expectations. She doesn't want anyone's expectations put on her. And like she said, she has not made a global final before, having run really quickly, and so she wants to keep herself in that competitive mind frame where anything can happen. You've got to be able to react, be aware of your competitors, and make sure that she can deliver on what she wants to for these championships.
Let's have a little look at the performances of Megan Beasley and Ailey Child. First of all, they were in the first semi-final. What did you make of their form, Michael?
Well, I thought Ailey ran a very good race. I mean, she was right there in great position. She ran a real solid race, very solid head. She's got experience, and so you would expect that, you know, with some of the big names out of this, that, you know, she could certainly make this final. And the thing would be, you know, for Ailey in this race is to run it like a final, because you don't know if you're going to get that other opportunity. There's no saving anything, so that's why she went out very aggressively here, ran a real solid race. But I think, again, you know, you make a good point with Megan Beasley. You know, you can't ask for much more than an athlete to come to a championships, and a young athlete as well, not very experienced, to come in here and run a personal best. Then you can leave this championship saying, you know, really, I did the best that I could, and then take from this, learn from it, and apply that moving forward. But Ailey Child, again, here, just running a real solid race, keeping herself in it, using the experience that she has from previous championships and being able to get herself into that final.
She shaved some time off her PB this season. She's had this great kind of rivalry with Perry as well, hasn't she? And having somebody who is so close to you, somebody to aim for as an athlete in your own national squad, must be a real attribute.
It is, and it's a great motivator. These girls have grown up together. They've competed a lot under 23 championships, and so she's watched the vast progression from Perry, and she knows that actually I want a bit of that, and she's good enough. And so, like Perry, she's been on the flat four indoors, she's worked hard, and she's made leaps and bounds, just like Megan has. You know, she's on her way. You know, each athlete has her own journey, and she's just at the start of hers. She's still learning the event, and she needs to be a bit stronger, a bit quicker if she's going to live with the likes of some of these girls. But it was great to see all of them getting to the semi-finals.
And for Beasley to run that PB as well, she'll take a lot from that, and just tasting this world championship environment, learning how to go through rounds will be such a good experience for her moving forwards to World Championships, Commonwealth Games, you know, all the major championships she's going to compete in.
And more importantly for Megan, it's that mind frame. You know, it's taken Perry about 3 years to understand what it's like being here, being in the warm-up area, and the demeanour that you have to have. Do you believe that you belong here? Both Perry and Megan and Ailey have answered those questions for themselves, and she's just on that journey and finding out for herself.
Let's bring Colin Jackson in, who was watching those, of course, closely. Colin, we've seen early on in the season Perry putting a lot of work into her 400-metre flat, and there was a time where there was a question maybe she would even, you know, fancy going for the 400 because she was doing very well. It's paid off, hasn't it? And also what's paid off is what the work she's done at the end of her race. You can really see where she's worked on her race this season.
I think one of the big things that we can all say is that what's happened with Perry is the injury factor that had hampered her previously, she has got rid of, which has allowed her, really enabled her to spend a little bit more time on the technical aspects of her event and really getting to know how to compete over 400-metre hurdles without panicking. And she demonstrated that very clearly in her semi-final. So it is a wonderful thing to see athletes that are maturing and developing with still a lot to do, because I don't think she's finished yet, that's for sure. She's got a long way to go.
Just watching her race now, Colin, Hainover and her have had, you know, a few races this season. Hainover is certainly, obviously, time-wise, is at the moment the better athlete. She's the person for Perry to aim towards.
Yeah, I think, sure, that Perry would like to be closer to Hainover, because she knows on the flat, actually, that she could comfortably beat her. So, you know, it's marrying this great flat speed that she's gained this season with a wonderful, better and more skillful hurdling. And, you know, we've spent a lot of time criticising Perry, saying about what she does technically and what she does wrong and how she can improve that. But I love the fact that she's still worked hard at the event. She enjoys doing the event, and that's what's key, because it allows her then to commit to it, work hard on the technical aspects of it, and that's going to really seriously propel her into real world class. And we're looking at her being already in world class, but I'm talking about winning these major titles, because she's certainly capable of doing that.
We're going to be enjoying our men in the 400 hurdles soon as well. 2 out of 3 of the women. Put your money on the men. How many do you reckon, Colin?
Boy, it's going to be so tough with the men. Dai, who's defending world champion, has been struggling, as we all know, with form, trying to recuperate it from his injuries, from his illnesses. Reece is having this season of his life, gone under 49 seconds on numerous occasions, and for all of them, it's going to be absolutely crazy. Their semi-finals are tough. We all know semi-finals are not easy, and poor Sebastian as well. He's in semi-final 1, and I think that is the toughest semi-final of the lot. But again, what we've talked about is gaining experience, rubbing shoulders with the top athletes, understanding them, seeing how they run, how they prepare, and how they ultimately deliver performances under great pressure. And certainly, of all, Sebastian is the guy who's going to learn the most today.
Thank you, Colin. Okay, well, you've mentioned them all there. Let's take a little look at the 3 of them. They were in Barcelona, of course, and Phil caught up with them there.
I haven't had the best outdoor season. It's been a tale of 2 halves, really. My winter was really good, huge amounts of volume. I ran really well indoors when I made one appearance, and sadly I've had 1 or 2 injuries that have knocked me back during the outdoor season, but I've trained really well. It was disappointing not to be able to run in Monaco or the anniversary games either, but I seem to be over the worst of that now, and hopefully I can turn that around just in time for Moscow.
Really, every Grand Prix you do around Europe, you always want to win them, and to be fair, I found myself this season compared to last season, whereas I was 10 metres behind some of the top runners, I found myself I'm in the mix a lot more. So that's always the aim, is to come up that home straight in the lead and really pushing for those wins, and I feel it's gone a lot better.
A real exciting time for me. I think it was almost quite a breakthrough year. This really has been. I knew I could do it all along, but to come out and almost be sitting here with the likes of Dwayne and people like that, the people I see on telly and idolise there, it's fantastic.
Me especially, I always want a bit more. So that's what I'm looking for at these championships, is to really run as fast as I think I can run. I really need to execute.
I will have to run every single round as a final. So I'm going to go out and in the heat, run hard, and there's 24 hours to recover the semi-final, and just run just as hard there, and who knows, I may surprise myself, and I know I'm capable of running quicker, so I have to believe I can do it, to be honest.
Got to look at the positive side of things, is that no one's really set their stall out in the 400 metre hurdles and has been dominant all season. Everyone's had their ups and downs. So hopefully if I can perform to the best of my ability, I'll put myself into the chance of a medal again.
Well, it's going to be tough for them. The competition is fierce, Denise, isn't it, in the men's 400 hurdles? And for Dai, I guess let's start with him, coming in without ideal preparation, missing races in the lead up to this. He's got to just treat this as a final, has he, to get through to the final?
Yes, he absolutely does. It's so unfortunate to see him in this position where he is not the Dai of 2 years ago. He's struggled so much. Last year and this year, I can't believe how one guy can be so unlucky, but he's here, and Dai has ultimately a good racing brain, and that's what he'll have to rely on. He knows exactly what to do. It's just that the fitness that you want to draw on in these closing stages of the hurdles, it just hasn't got it right now, and so he's going to have to make no mistakes. He's going to have to make sure that his stride pattern is correct to give him any chance of proceeding into that final.
For Seb Rogers, he said it there kind of himself, this was his breakthrough year. It's about experience, perhaps a bit of the Megan Beasley about him in that respect.
Yeah, and that's a very exciting time for an athlete, and that's when great things can happen for you, when you really have nothing to lose. No one's expecting anything. If he doesn't make this final, it's not a huge disappointment for anyone. So that's a great position to be in versus Dai Green, who, over the last few years has really been, after winning a world championship, so much expectation, that he has for himself, and that everyone else has for him as well. And so he's in actually the exact opposite position, a great position to be in. But going back to Di Green, it's a very difficult position to be in, especially for an athlete like him who thrives on his confidence and his ability to go out there and run well because he's trained well. He hasn't been able to do that. So this is an extremely difficult position to be in. He will have to run this as if it's a final, but there's no doubt that what will be weighing on his mind is that I could go out there and run the best race today and still not make the final because he just doesn't have the condition. It's a very difficult position to be in, but you have to go out there and you have to basically get yourself in that mindset that, hey, that's really all I can do, so it's all I will do, and we'll see what happens after the finish.
And what's success for Reece?
Reece, knowing Reece, he's a very confident man. He's enjoying his athletics again, having been out of the sport for a little while. And, coming into these championships, he's just put it down. He won the UK trials. He's here and he will want to be in that final. You see him come off a very disappointed man if he has not made the cut.
In fact, with Reece, he's actually kind of the combination of both of those. He has that experience that a Di Green has, and he also has the confidence, though, that a Sebastian Roger has, because he's run a personal best this year, and after a few years of being away from the sport. So to come in and run a personal best, you come into a championship off of a personal best, and with this thing being really wide open, again, as is always the case. Now, it's wide open, but it's a very difficult wide open because you've got so many great athletes, and that is the men's 400-meter hurdles over the last 2 years. So many ex-champions across all world champions, Olympic champions, European champions, Commonwealth champions. Everybody's in this race, and it's always that case for the men's 400 hurdles.
Is that because of the technical aspect of the hurdles, because of the slightly more unpredictable nature, as opposed to, say, the 400 flat, that makes it that much more kind of wide open, and you get champions from 2 Olympics apart can win a gold medal?
I think it is. That's part of it. Is that it is the technical aspect of the race that makes it so difficult, and where guys can come
to be
in
consistent.
And guys can come in and can win this, even though they're not young and fresh, and experience pays off, in this event, and probably contributes to success more so than any other event in the sport, because it is such a difficult event to train for. And then technically, the margin for error is extremely small, in 400-meter hurdles. So I think that's how you can see, and Angelo Taylor win 2 Olympics, and Felix Sanchez win 2 Olympics with an Olympic Games in between. That's just unbelievable. That doesn't happen in any other event.
But I have to say, we've had great tradition in our 4 hurdles, just as the Americans. And I think that encourages more young people to come through and want to take up the event. And, they're getting better
Success
and better.
breeds success.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, that race to come, those races even to come. Let's get outside, though, and take in some field. It's the men's discus final tonight, of course. Let's see how they're getting on.
It certainly is, and here is our leader, Robert Harting, going for a hat-trick of titles. Over 68 metres in the second round, and crashed that one against the upright of the cage. I guess that's what you do sometimes when you're trying a little bit too hard. I think he will become champion, but he's still got some way to go before he emulates one of his heroes, the great German thrower Lars Riedel, who won 4 outdoor world titles. But Harting is on his way. Peter Malachowski now desperately trying to get in amongst them. Back in Berlin in 2009, it was Robert Harting, Peter Malachowski, and Gerd Kanter who took the medals. That looks better. It's long. So finally, the big man from Poland gets over 65 meters. He has thrown 71 meters this year, 4th longest throw in history, and he brought Robert Harting's 3-year winning streak to an end. That's how good he is, but certainly needs a big one here tonight. There it is, 65.09, so the big 3 are in 1st, 2nd and 3rd place. Harting, Kanter and Malachowski, and guess who this is? The Queen of Russia. She's just been introduced to the crowd. Yelena Asinbaeva, the world record holder in the pole vault, who came out of semi-retirement, it has to be said, earlier on this year, and she has competed sparingly. But if her form in the qualifying competition is anything to go by, she will be champion once more. She's after a 3rd world title.
Well, there is Seb Roger The man is perhaps not quite in the quality, the pedigree of Di Green yet, but he is fit and healthy. He's had a great year so far. He is a man on the up. I wonder if he can live with this company, though. Colin was talking about the quality of this first semi-final. Just 2 to go through automatically, 3 semi-finals here. And it really is loaded. There is Javi Coulson, the Puerto Rican silver medalist in the last 2 World Championships. Bronze at the Olympics in London. A couple of Diamond League wins this season in Birmingham, Lausanne. Again, it's about the experience for Seb Roger. We talked about the progress he's made. Ran a very impressive, his personal best, 49.19, taking silver at the European Under-23 Championships. That was behind the very strong Serbian youngster Emir Bekric. He's got lane 2 here, but Colin, it is it's a high-quality semi-final.
This is, you know, unreal when it comes to semi-finals. You know, when you go through the names, the quality of the names in this field, they've all achieved something. They've either won major championships, major medals, run very quick. It is just extraordinary. But I'm hoping that this young man will gain a lot of experience from being in this competition today.
Yes, we talked about the openness of the men's 400 metres hurdles. No clear favourite as there is with Hainova in the women's hurdles. I think perhaps Tinsley, who goes in the next semi-final, is the favourite, but any one of them, including this man, Javi Coulson, you've got Mamadou Kassihan, Jehu Gordon, Cornell Fredericks, Bershon Jackson, the 2005 champion, he goes in the outside here. And every one of them will be considering their medal prospects. But some are going to be very disappointed come the end of this semi-final. Only the first 2 go through automatically, the next 2 fastest to the final. I think Seb Rogers looking for here, Con, is just about, I suppose you look at someone like Megan Beasley getting a personal best, just see where that gets you.
No, you're absolutely right. That's exactly what you want to do. He's already got a silver medal from the Under-23s Championships, so he's got the experience of getting into the championships and finals, and we're picking up medals. But as you can see, he's in lane 2.
Yes, Tristan Thomas, the Australian inside, Roger, Phillips, Coulson. And outside, Mamadou Kassihan, Jehu Gordon, Cornell Fredericks, and Bershon Jackson. And nervous moments for all these athletes. And Tristan Thomas, the Australian champion from Brisbane. Personal best goes back to 2009. And there is Seb Roger, Shaftesbury Barnet athlete. He's taken almost a second and a half off his personal best this year. Isa Phillips, the Jamaican, 3rd at the Jamaican Championships, behind Leifer Green and Ansel White. Never made it to a World or Olympic final. Javi Coulson certainly has. As I mentioned, silver in the last 2 World Championships. And bronze in London. Mamadou Kassihan, only a semi-finalist at the Olympics, but good progress this year. From Senegal, but winner of the French Championship this year and last. Jehu Gordon, we all thought he was going to be the next big thing when he burst in the scene, finishing just outside the medals in Berlin 4 years ago. Didn't really kick on from there, but has now, just recently, he's started to find himself and his form again. The South African champion, Cornell Fredericks, 5th at the last World Championships. And we do have a former world champion in this lineup. The rather diminutive for a 400 hurdler figure of Bershon Jackson. 8 years ago in Helsinki, he won it, and Olympic bronze medalist in Beijing. He was breaking 48 seconds at will back in 2005. Certainly not in that form, but he will finish very, very strongly. So we've got Tristan Thomas, Seb Roger there in 2, Isa Phillips, Javi Coulson, Mamadou Kassihan, Jehu Gordon of Trinidad and Tobago in 6, Cornell Fredericks and Bershon Jackson. First of 3 semi-finals in the men's 400 metres hurdles. First 2 go through automatically to Thursday's final. Away they go after a fairly lengthy hold. Roger in lane 2 and trying to keep pace with high caliber athletes outside him. And there is possibly the highest caliber of them all. Bershawn Jackson is down. Javi Coulson storming on, but Bershawn Jackson lying prone in the back straight. Coulson galloping on. And that eases things slightly for the remainder here. Seb Roger trying very hard as they come around the top bend. But 4 coming forward in a wave. It's Coulson and Hahn and Jehu Gordon, Cornell Fredericks. Only the first 2 to go through automatically. Now Coulson and Gordon start to separate themselves from the rest. And for Hahn and Fredericks, it'll have to be a fast time. And Coulson's starting to fade a little bit. Jehu Gordon looks round and looks easy, looks comfortable. Comes across the line, 48.11. Javi Coulson gets the second automatic qualifying place. Well, a race of some incident, and Coulson perhaps a smile saying I've got more. I'm not sure he does. Seb Roger will confirm his time in a moment. I think he was down in about 6th place, but Bershawn Jackson, well, painful in more ways than one.
He looks in absolute agony there. Looks like he pulled his hamstring going into that barrier, and the last thing you want to do is when you've pulled your hamstring is face a 3-foot barrier. He had to take it, but this is where the business end is. Coulson, Gordon battling as we've seen him do many times this year, all the way to the line. But it's only about qualification, and doesn't Gordon look good?
Strong finish from Seb Roger coming through there. Again, we'll confirm his time in a moment, but Jehu Gordon talked about his talent as a 17-year-old in Berlin 4 years ago. And perhaps again he'll be challenging and get in amongst the medals come Thursday's final. The time for Seb Roger confirmed at 49.32.
It was a good bold 49.32 as well, Andrew. He set off aggressively. He wasn't at all intimidated with this field. And again, it's about sticking to your race plan in 400-meter hurdles. Sometimes you can get carried away with the whole occasion and really be taken out of your comfort zone, out of your groove. But no, he's kept his head, he kept calm. There was a lot of action going on in front of him, but he worked very well into all these barriers. And I think this guy has got a real, genuine future in this event. If he sticks to it, gets a little bit of luck, meaning no injuries, then we can see something really special from him ultimately, and he'll be battling with the top guys in Great Britain. But a really good, competent performance.
Well, we've analysed it. Let's see what the man himself thinks about it. So Roger is talking to Phil.
Well, we didn't get a chance to say well done on making the semis the other day. It was still pending, wasn't it? But you made it, and you performed admirably again. You must be pleased the way you've acquitted yourself on this grand stage.
I think so. No, I'm pleased with that. It's, with a few things, I keep hitting that hurdle. The fourth one, I'm not too sure why. You have a little look at that, but I tried my best. I came out here with all this lot, some of the top boys in the world, and I like to think I try to hold my own, but it's best I did today.
I know a few selections were made this year to bring people like yourself here to the championships, gain experience, and when you've had that experience now, the holding camp and this, what are the biggest lessons learned, what are you going to take forward?
I just think the whole experience has been amazing. It's really given me like a drive. This is what we're doing for future championships. So, no, it's just everything's a learning curve at this point in my career.
It's just the start for you, Seb. All the best going forward.
That's great. Thank you very much.
There's hopefully a big future. Seb Roger down there, 49.32, actually second fastest time ever behind his personal best. Jehu Gordon, Javi Coulson go through automatically. Mamadou Kassihan has to wait.
Martin Wehrig of Germany, younger teammate of Robert Harting. Out of the medals at the moment. It looks as though he's got hold of that one. Oh, that's bang on the 65-meter line. Now, Peter Malachowski has thrown 65.09. Cantor's a little bit further at 65.19. And, of course, Robert Harting had that monster throw in round 2 of 68.13. So that could put Malachowski under a wee bit of pressure. It's just short. So Martin Wehrig in 4th place behind the pole.
So one down. There are two more of those 400-meter hurdles heats, semi-finals even, to go. Let's just talk about Bershawn Jackson, though. You know, on his day, you know, he's run 48.09 this year. He can run 47. So he's a pretty good 400 hurdler. What do you put that down to? Was it just a hamstring going?
It was a hamstring, obviously a hamstring, which is very difficult. You know, and it's something that no matter how well you warm up, you see him there just grabbing it just as he went over the barrier. And so no matter how well you warm up, sometimes these things just happen. So very unfortunate day for Bershawn Jackson, a great 400-meter hurdler that's been around for many, many years. Actually was making a little bit of a comeback this year, and I think he probably thought they had a pretty good opportunity this year to get back in there and get a medal again, because he's medaled at these championships in the past. So very unfortunate for him.
Yeah, not good news for Bershawn Jackson. Seb Rogers seemed to take that in his stride. There's Bershawn Jackson. He's had a bit of medical treatment. He's going to go off and contemplate that, Denise. And what can you say? What can he say? That's just very bad luck.
It's the nature of the sport, you know. Obviously, he's so dejected, but you know, it happens. It really does. So he'll. That's probably the end of his season. I'm hoping it's not a bad tear, but hopefully just something a little bit more minor than that.
Okay, well, second heat, we've got semi-final. We've got, it's because there's 3 semi-finals and there were 2 women's semi-finals. Get your head around it, Gabby. Rhys Williams is going in this one. Let's hand you back down to the commentators.
And he's got, well, they're all tough, as Colin said, but Michael Tinsley, #1 in the world this year, Olympic silver medalist in lane 4. Sugui Marti of Brazil in 1, Françoise of France in 2, Green, Jamaica in 3, then Tinsley, Bekric of Serbia, the under-23 champion in Europe, Chali of Russia, Kishimoto of Japan, and then Williams. So top 2 has just been reiterated. The fastest loser times, just to think about 3rd and 4th places from that first semi, 48.69, 48.85. And if you think that Rhys Williams here is best, personal best set this year, 48.84. So he's going to have to be, if he's not in the top 2, he's probably going to have to run a personal best. Well, he is. He's got to equal it, at the very least, and come 3rd. Well, Tinsley, Olympic silver medalist, won the London Diamond League, 47.96. Only man under 48 seconds this year, but Gordon looked so good, didn't he? Watch out for Bekric of Serbia outside him, because Bekric is a fast improving young man who impressed me in qualification, and he's outside Tinsley. The young Russian, there's a lot of cheering going on. The young Russian in lane 6, new European junior champion, just 19 years of age. He's fast finisher. That's Bekric there. He's just 22 also, so lots of good young talent.
On your marks.
Leifer Green is inside Tinsley, and I'm just trying to pick out the ones who should figure here. We've had less drama in this than we had in the women's 400 hurdles so far. Of course, one more race to come with Di Green after this. A little bit of a long hold, but they got away safely, and Rhys has really got to attack this out in lane 8. Kishimoto started very quickly inside him. Tinsley going well, that's Tinsley. Down the back straight now, 3rd flight of hurdles. Tinsley's leading, Leifer Green a little further back. Bekric is right in this, and Rhys Williams has really got to get moving here. Kishimoto of Japan is probably a couple of meters ahead of him, and we'll hopefully drag him round that top bend. It's Bekric and Tinsley. Williams in about 4th or 5th at the moment, but just watch the stagger unwind here. The Serbian, big, strong Serbian, is leading this. Tinsley, Olympic silver medalist, is second, and Rhys Williams a long way off at the minute. It's got to be good in the home straight. Green's got the 3rd spot. Only the top 2 go through by rights. Bekric is ahead of Tinsley, and this Serbian is really impressing. Tinsley's trying to get ahead of him, will just manage it. Green will get 3rd. Rhys will be 4th. Not quick enough, I don't think. Well, I'm pretty sure. Well, what a race there. Tinsley, as we see Rhys Williams here, but this young Bekric is getting better and better. He's a big old lad, Colin, isn't he?
He's huge, Steve. He's massive. He's thick, he's strong, he's aggressive. Everything you really need for this event he has. And he worked hard for this. And remember, he's only a young man. He's 22 years old. So he's going to gain more and more and more experience with higher competition. We want to see him on the circuit competing against these guys all the time, more regularly, and that will get him much better indeed. But here's Rhys Williams. He's in lane 8, and I'll be honest, it is a difficult lane to run out of, especially over the hurdles, because the hurdles are then placed differently around the track, and you may not be used to that. Hurdle 2 is slightly in a more awkward place than you'd be used to. It would be on the straight instead of being on the corner. So Rhys is handling this very well indeed, but I can imagine he'd be a little bit frustrated, because I think he'd be looking at this and saying, I'm better than the ultimate time I produced today. 49.29 is his final time, but I think he's raced very well at these championships to get to the semi-final stage, and it's about gaining experience, working hard. Remember last year he did win the European Championships. So this year he had a big breakthrough, going under 49 seconds, and now I guess once you do that, it's just about competing with the big boys.
Well, he gave it everything. Tough, as Colin said, out in lane 8. 49.29 in 4th. And actually ahead of him, as we see in the result, Green. That's not quick enough either. So the two fastest losers so far, one more to come, of course, are from that first semi-final. But Tinsley, bit of a push there, was shot by Bekric with a big new national record, of course, a personal best for the young man from Serbia.
Well, this discus final has been a fascinating competition so far. The considerable bulk and strength and speed of Peter Malachowski there. And at last he puts distance between himself and the 65-meter line. Yes, that is more like it. I don't think it's as far as Robert Harting, but that is certainly going to put the world champion, defending world champion, under a bit of pressure. Robert Harting is going to have to look to himself. This competition is far from over. He likes it. 67.18, moves ahead of Cantor into second. Well, Robert Harting, 68.13 and a foul. We saw that in the last round. What can he do in round 4? Oh, he's got hold of that one. That is flying. Absolutely massive. Close to the 70-meter line. After that foul in the last round, it did not affect him one jot. The mental preparation before he went into the circle and the execution was wonderful. That was a brilliant, brilliant throw. That could be the gold medal once more for Robert Harting. 69.11. He's out there to be beaten, but I'm not sure anybody can.
Well, Di Green getting ready to go in the third semi-final, but his fellow Welsh hurdler Rhys Williams has just failed to make the final. Let's get his thoughts. He's talking to Phil.
Yeah, one more to go. We've had two runners, two not got through. Rhys, if you just don't mind coming in for a sec. I know you had the season of your life really going sub 49, but just how tough was it to be in lane 8 today?
Yeah, it was tough, but man, I'm gutted. Gutted not to be in our final. Gutted.
Tell me, what was it like then? You got about 200. You see the Japanese guy on your shoulder. Is it difficult to re-establish a race pattern from that point?
I don't know. I don't know what I need to do to get in this world final. It's jinxed me. And I don't want to be a bad loser. I wasn't good enough today, but I'm absolutely gutted, Phil. Gutted.
I know we talked in Barcelona, and all this year has been building to this point for you. So, I mean, how soon do you reevaluate what you do need to do to go to that next stage? Speaking with your coach and that kind of thing,
Well, that's not rudeness, that's just heartache at not making the final. And understandable. Over his shoulder we could see Di Green getting ready to go in lane 2 there. Felix Sanchez, Cisneros, Karen Clement again. It is a stack with quality, and only 2 go through automatically. Felix Sanchez, well, twice the Olympic champion, twice world champion. And he suddenly came to life in the first round. There's Omar Cisneros, won his first round heat. Very unfortunate to go out in the semi-finals of the last 2 World Championships and the Olympics last year. Keron Clement, twice world champion, won it in Osaka, defended it in Berlin. Olympic silver medalist in Beijing as well. Eric Alejandro from Puerto Rico, Olympic semi-finalist. Again, one of the athletes here who might just find the pace from the middle lanes a bit too quick, as will Erasmus Maggi from Estonia, just 21 years old. As for Dai Green, though, he has done every single thing possible to get here in shape and form and fitness, worthy of his title defence, but he's been constantly fighting against the current this season. A hernia operation required in March, then a very untimely calf injury. So Jeffrey Gibson from the Bahamas goes in 1, Dai Green in 2, Ansart White of Jamaica in 3, Felix Sanchez in 4, Omar Cisneros of Cuba in 5, Keron Clement in 6, Sanchez, Eric Alejandro of Puerto Rico in 7, and Erasmus Maggi of Estonia in 8. The third and last semi-final of the men's 400 metres hurdles. First 2 to go through automatically to the final. Away they go. What sort of form is the veteran, the great Felix Sanchez in? He looked good in the first round. And we focus on him as he enters the back straight. Fairly even at the moment, and Dai Green living with Ansart White, the big Jamaican outside him just now. Omar Cisneros looking strong outside Felix Sanchez, and Cisneros coming round the bend rises alongside Sanchez, side by side. Dai Green, the stagger will play out and he'll come round, but it's going to have to be a strong finish, and the training, the legs might not be there. Cisneros leads. Sanchez, Keron Clement finishing strongly. Only 2 to go through automatically, and Clement trying to get level with Felix Sanchez. Sanchez trying to get close to Cisneros. The Cuban takes it. Sanchez gets the second automatic place, and Keron Clement will look for the time. Dai Green down about 5th, 6th place. And his title defence ends here. We knew, we suspected it would. Injury and illness, the scourge of his season, and he didn't have it in the legs.
Unfortunately for Dai, he couldn't put himself in any position where he could make any difference to the outcome of this race. Normally, at the 8th hurdle, he'd be there or thereabouts and ready to attack, but this year, of course, he hasn't been able to progress. He spent most of his time on the physio table or talking with doctors, trying to recover, so it's been a difficult year for Dai Green. But what he has got still is his beautiful fluency over the barriers. Even though he hasn't been able to work on his technique, he's been able to hone that from many, many years of the skill work. He's a lovely, fluent, easy hurdler, but of course you've got to marry that great technique with good speed and strong endurance to be really effective over this distance. And Dai, you know, he'll keep a level head. He'll know what happened this season. You realise he spent most of it recovering in some shape or form, and I hope really that he doesn't get disheartened, because he's a quality athlete. He's been European champion, he's been world champion. So it's just to shake off this whole horrid year for him and just refocus and work hard for gaining titles in the upcoming seasons.
Well, he said he did everything he could to be here. He was working in the pool, on a bike, in the gym as well, but he said himself there's no substitute for running, and he just wasn't able to get those yards, those meters done on the track. Let's get his thoughts. He's talking to Phil.
And all that said, Andrew, as well, and on top of that, Dai got a little weekend. I know you've been fighting something, and the story in Delhi was you were able to rebound from an illness like that. Not the case here.
Yeah, I just didn't have it in the tank tonight. In the warm-up track, we were really struggling to get to that first hurdle. We were really struggling to get my strides on the back straight, and that's where I lost a lot of contact with them, and it was harder than it should have been. And I guess if you miss a bit of training, that's what it looks like when you start competing against the top guys. It really shows.
You've just basically had no luck this year. It's been injury, illness.
Yeah, I've had no luck in recent weeks, probably. I knew that after my operation start this summer, I knew I could get back in time. Things were going really well until the last few weeks. And this champs probably came a week too early for me. If I had another week to train, I could have got myself back up, maybe get used to the intensities again. But such a shock to the system it is after not really doing much the last few weeks. And then he found one thing against the top guys.
I appreciate you talking to us. Thank you.
Sorry, thanks.
So let's rattle through the result. I think Kieran Clement will go through with that time of 48.21. The automatic qualifiers. Cisneros and Sanchez Dai-Green, his title defence, ends with a 5th place in the semi-final. Well, what a performance it was by David Oliver in the final of the men's 110 metres hurdles. And this is his moment. Well, he couldn't wait to get up there. A very impressive run, quickest time of the season, 13 seconds flat. Shebenkov there taking the bronze, and Ryan Wilson the silver medal. Had that wonderful season a couple of years ago. That was 2010, where he was unbeaten, but it was between World Championship years. It wasn't a World Championship year, it wasn't an Olympic year. Finally here, he gets his gold medal, and the anthem and the flag being raised will be for him. The smile off his face. We thought it might be Aries Merritz, the Olympic champion, the world record holder, but it was another American, David Oliver, who took gold. There we go, gold to David Oliver, silver to Ryan Wilson, bronze to Sergei Shebenkov in the men's 110 metres hurdles.
Well, it's still Robert Harting of Germany in control in this discus final, but Peter Malachowski is certainly not giving up. And again, he's got hold of a big throw. He too is closing in on Harting. That is the Olympic shot put champion, in support of his big teammate. Malachowski really is a very fine throw. He's a big man, but he moves so quickly. And on that occasion, I'm sure he got the balance right as well. Harting 69.11, and Malachowski there just short, 68.36. This is the Olympic champion, Jenny Sir. This was a little while ago, her first attempt at her opening height of 4.55 meters in the women's pole vault final. We don't quite know what went on, but she made a protest to the officials, and they have allowed her to take that vault again. We'll have to try and find out what the protest was about. It may have been about the clock, or the fact that the equipment was not absolutely right. She is the Olympic champion after all. She knows the sport inside out. But this was what happened when they allowed her to take the attempt once more. Easily over. Asinbaeva is not coming in until 4:65. We know that for sure. But the Olympic champion safely over effectively at the second attempt, but it will go on the record as her first attempt in the competition. Well, Robert Harting is prowling around the infield. This is the last throw that can challenge him for a third consecutive gold medal, and it's not to be. Malachowski once again does not win gold. He's figured in every major championship for about the last 7 or 8 years, but he has to pay homage to the best discus thrower of his generation. Robert Harting wins once more. He wants it to fly. It did fly. It was certainly long. Not too many discus throws in the world have thrown that far. 67-21, and that confirms that Robert Harting is the champion once more. Gerd Kanter has a chance in this last round. He just overcooked it. He topped it rather like you'd top a golf ball, or rather like I'd top a golf ball. So just plummeted down beneath 60 meters. But Kanter, again, a former champion, an Olympic champion. He gets a medal, and the order at the moment is Harting, Malachowski and Kanter as the champion-elect goes into the circle for the last attempt, and that is exactly the same order as happened in Berlin in 2009 when Robert Harting first sprung to prominence. Everybody will bow down to this man as the best man on the day. There is no doubt about that. Can he finish off with a flourish? He stays inside the circle just, and again peppers that 70-meter line. He's a magnificent thrower. Well, Harting started off this competition. He was the very first thrower to go. And he started off modestly, 62 meters. Then he exploded in the second round to 68. Then in the fourth round, 69, and I think he's done it again. 69.11. His longest throw so far is that further. Here we go. Superman is in town. When he won in London last year, won the Olympic title, he actually went down the home straight the wrong way over the hurdles. That was very impressive. Not the same this time, but Robert Harting is one of the best athletes of his generation in the discus, in any event. He's been so dominant, working on his technique incessantly, working in the gym so hard, and 3 times he is now a world discus champion. Well, Robert Harting gave us an elaborate victory ceremony in London. I wonder if he's going to do something special here. Malachowski can only wonder how on earth he can beat the great German. And Kanter, who's been on the medal rostrum since 2005 in Helsinki, when Virgilijus Alekna set the championship record of 70 meters 17, he's on the rostrum once again.
Well, they've cleared the hurdles away from the 400s earlier, so no hurdling. Rest assured, if he attempts any other discipline, any other event, we will go back out there. Maybe he'll pick up a pole and try a bit of pole vault, but he is an incredible athlete and a showman and a great face for the sport, isn't he? In London, he also fell asleep in a London train station after he'd partied a bit hard. So watch out, Moscow train stations tonight, because he could appear there. Let's go back to the 400-metre hurdles, actually. Great disappointment, Michael, from a British point of view, to not get any of our men through there. Hugely kind of emotional response from Rhys Williams, because he really had put this as the World Championship. He was going to make that final. You sense that, you know, that he'd staked everything on it.
Yeah. And he should have made that final. I mean, he came in here with running a personal best this year. Everything was set up for him, but for the fact that he was in lane 8, which is difficult, not an excuse, and he wouldn't make an excuse of lane 8 as well. But I can understand why he would be disappointed, because this was a great opportunity for him to be in the final for 400-meter hurdles. And, you know, as we talked about earlier, you know, you've got to get it done, you know, at the championships. You have to have your best race here. It's a very, very difficult event, but, you know, he's been running it for years. He's got the experience. So at the end of the day, you know, it would be a huge disappointment for Rhys and for the Great Britain team, because he should be in that final. There's no doubt about it. So
Dye less so because of the build-up. I mean, it was just a kind of let's see what happens.
Yeah, and you know, and he did all that he could. And as I said before, that was going to be hugely, you know, difficult to go in there, you know, and I don't know how he approached it, you know, but it was all going to be about his mental state. And so, you know, whether or not he went in there down and disappointed and wasn't able to perform, you know, at his best today, or whether that was all he had due to the fact that he hasn't been in great shape, and then he's been ill as well, we hear, you know, in the camp leading up to this over the last few days here in Moscow. So hugely disappointing for him again. I don't know, you know, it's tough, you know, in a sport like this, where you've got to show up, you've got to be healthy. It's very difficult to stay healthy in this sport, you know, and he's just had a lot of bad luck. So he's going to have to, you know, but you sometimes, you know, you have to make your own luck. And so you have to really look back and go, okay, now, is there anything that I could do? You know, in drastic, you know, times call for drastic measures. When you don't make championship finals and you don't medal when you're supposed to, time and time again, when you know you have the talent, because he has the talent and he's an extremely hard worker, you have to go back and really think about, you know, what can I do? And everything has to be on the table.
And Cisneros just kind of highlighting once again what we were saying before, that this event, you know, doesn't have one person who wins and takes all. Cisneros missed out on the Olympic final last year, Denise. He's done something. He's gone back to the drawing board last year and thought, I'm not missing out on another final. He got a world-leading time and a PB.
Exactly, and so it is about how you approach each season and what you do differently, what enters your mind, your coaching setup. You have got to look at the whole package, and making slight changes here and there can produce times like that. And as you said, the event is wide open.
Okay, well, it's the women's 800 metres from the heptathlon, the last event of the heptathlon. There are 3 races. The last race is the loaded one, if you like. Katarina Johnson-Thompson from Great Britain is going in there looking for a PB to perhaps get herself amongst the medals, and that's where all the leaders are. So while the earlier races are taking place right now, we're going to take you back to 1980 once more, because there was a pretty iconic 800 metres run in that Olympic Games.
Tremendous roar around the stadium as they go on their way. 3 Britons, 2 East Germans, 1 Russian, 1 Brazilian, 1 Frenchman. The final of the 800 metres, and Guimarães of Brazil has gone storming off. Sebastian Coe right on the outside, taking it fairly easy, but he's about 7 metres back as they break there. Guimarães leads, Kirov on the inside. Coming right across now is David Warren of Great Britain. And Steve Ovett looking for room. Wagenknecht knocked by Ovett. And Ovett tries to come around him on the outside as they slow and bunch. It's now become tactical, and the bumping and boring we expected has happened. 26 seconds for the first 200. The Brazilian leads. David Warren of Britain in second place. Coe clear of trouble, right on the outside. Ovett, rarely for him, trapped behind the bunch, and he's got to come round that lot. What will he do? Try and barge his way through as they come towards the bell, and there he goes, bursting through, getting a rough ride. 54.5, a slow time left to the sprinters. Guimarães, Brazil leads. Warren in second place, and Coe now has got himself in trouble right at the back. 320 metres to go. Warren leads for Britain. Kirov Russia's second. Guimarães is third. Steve Ovett in 4th place. Those blue eyes like chips of ice. Getting knocked about by Wagenknecht. And Coe coming up, trying to make his run. It's Kirov now of Russia. Steve Ovett in second place, and Coe's got an awful lot to do. He's coming from a long way back, but they've been all over the place in this race. It's been a running battle. Kirov leads. Ovett second. Coe is beaten surely. Ovett hits the front, and Coe can't get through. Steve Ovett coming home to take the gold medal for Great Britain, to beat Sebastian Coe against the silver. Kirov gets the bronze. Guimaris is in fourth place, and Ovett looks up in triumph. That was a race about experience.
Lord Coe, as we know him now, Michael, employed interesting tactics there, didn't he? We thought he was going to win that from the back with about 150 to go.
Yeah, I mean, he had success with that in the past, and but the 800 meters is such a difficult event because it's so tactical, and you never know what's going to happen. I mean, that's why you have Olympic championships and world championship events in the 800 meters where you have guys who are capable of running 142. Winning it in 145. I mean, you just never know, and that's one of those races where you go in with a strategy, and probably 100 meters in, you're throwing that thing up and throwing it out the window because of what other people are doing, and you have to try to balance between the two. It's very difficult.
We, of course, have the men's 800-meter final a little bit later on, but none of the top three, the podium guys from London, including that fabulous athlete David Rudisha, are here. So it's, again, another wide-open event, although the two Americans who were fourth and fifth, Solomon and Simons, really see this as their opportunity.
Yes, they do. And listen, when you've been around for such a long time, you want that opportunity to come. And when you're in shape, and both the Americans are, they feel it's now and they want to take it. Yes, you can't help that the first three from the games are away. So you have to use this time. It's so important.
You can only beat who's there on the start line. Well, just a few days after that, of course, came the 1,500 metres, which featured our very own Steve Cram, a very young-looking Steve Cram with his bouncy blonde hair. These are his thoughts of that Olympic Games experience.
It was an odd games in the sense that, as a 19-year-old, you should be, I've got the Olympic Games and, all the grandeur of opening ceremonies and everything that it should be. But we were wrapped up in this whole political argument.
Those who believe that sport has nothing to do with politics are living in a dream world.
Weren't even sure if the team was going to go at one point.
Neither I nor the American people would support the sending of an American team to Moscow.
A lot of other countries followed suit after America had decided they weren't going to go. And there was pressure, a lot of pressure, I think, for Great Britain to follow suit.
Mrs. Thatcher appeals again to Britain's athletes, think again about going to Moscow.
There was a concerted media campaign about whether it was the right thing or the wrong thing, and there were certain newspapers which were trying to put the BOA under a lot of pressure to change its mind. But I think as far as the BOA and the British Amateur Athletic Board were concerned at the time, it was always a case, we are going until somebody says we're not.
The overwhelming point of view from the athletes is that they want to go.
Even as a 19-year-old, I was very aware of what the arguments were. But it wasn't just that I wanted to go to the Olympic Games. I genuinely thought that it was the right thing to do, and I still to this day would have thought exactly the same today if we were in the same situation. I sort of flew into a different world. Communist Russia, as it was then, was very different to anything I'd experienced up to that point. Media intensity of almost intrusion really around Kornovet in particular was something I'd never experienced. Probably two guys in a scenario that has maybe never been repeated. I don't know if it has been to that level. So it was interesting to watch those two characters play out their roles, if you like, yet still trying to find my own way through it and try and ignore everything that was going on around those two. Well, the final was a slightly bizarre day. The village cleared out. 1,500 was on the last day. I was left in the village. Steve Ovett and his coach Harry got in the lift. We go down, and Seb Coe and his dad get in the lift. You think, this will be good, And it was a little bit frosty, and there was some polite exchanges. And then we got down, and there was an athlete's bus, which I got on with Steve Ovett, and Seb had a car. Two very different approaches. I was sitting with Steve, and he seemed very preoccupied about where Seb was, and why isn't Seb? I kept saying to Harry, where's Seb? Where's he warming up, and why isn't he warming up where we are? Going into the call-up room, the other 8 of us watching Kornovet kind of not speak to each other, but the body language and everything was interesting. And then walking out into the arena, and I remember thinking, wow, this is what I wanted. This was the Olympic final, 80,000 people, and of course all the cameras trained on those two, but just so delighted to be there. And even when I got to the start line, unfortunately, I kept going, wow, this is the Olympic final, this is the Olympic final. in the gangland, and I was still going, wow, this is the Olympic final. So it was immediately last, and didn't improve on that too much during the race, to be fair.
Owen's in trouble, and no extra revenge he won't.
When I crossed the line, Ovett had his arm up, Seb was prostrate on the ground. I think I sort of made sort of consolation noises to Seb and went over to congratulate Ovett. And only then I turned around to see Seb getting up and realising, whoa, hold on a minute, the guy who I thought was going to win, and I think everybody thought, hadn't won. And if you're at the back of the field, sometimes you don't know who's won. It was an incredible learning experience, the whole thing for me, particularly because of what those two were going through, and it stood me in so much good stead for the rest of my career. I think had I not gone to Moscow, I might not have had some of the successes I've had. So it will always actually have a good place in my athletics heart, if you like. It was an important games for me.
And because there's no evening session tomorrow, you get a chance to see a fantastic documentary on BBC Two at 6:30, Moscow 1980, the Cold War Olympics. You think at 1980, I've only said it about 100 times this week, haven't I? Which is well worth a watch. There is a morning session though. You can tune in as normal at 6:15. I'm delighted to say that Paula Radcliffe has joined us. We have 1500 metre semi-finals coming up, 3000 metre steeplechase as well. But let's talk a little bit about that golden era of middle distance running for Great Britain. You know, those days when, as kids, every Friday night they were having tussles, weren't they? Ovett, Cram and Co. And they were just part of our kind of sporting heritage. It was the norm that we were so good at those events.
Yeah, it was. And they were my idols when I was starting out, sort of looking up to that. You see that rivalry, and I think then I just assumed it was always going to carry on in Britain. And I can remember as a kid going down to Crystal Palace and queuing up to watch them, and then queuing up afterwards outside to try and get their autograph, and just being really excited to be at races where they were taking part and being able to absorb some of that. So now for me as well, to be sitting next to them in the commentary box, that's special.
When you said trying to get their autographs, you mean you never got them?
Sorry.
You never got the autograph?
No, I did. But sometimes I was more interested in watching the races than I was queuing up outside. So that's why I always wait, because I was that little kid who gets to the front of the queue and then they go.
Listen, we're just going to nip out because the pole vault competition is hotting up, and that's largely down to one lady, Yelena Isinbayeva, who is the sweetheart of Russian athletics, is out there. It's the reason why I think it's the biggest crowd of this championship so far, bigger than Bolt's 100 metres even. Let's hand over to Paul.
She looked absolutely brilliant in qualifying for this final. And since her massive disappointment over her result in the London Olympics, she got a bronze medal there, but she was very disappointed. She took some time out and contemplated her future, but she's back here in front of her home crowd. This her first vault of the competition, and rather like Le Villani, the red-hot favourite in the men's competition yesterday, her first vault is a failure. So 2 more attempts. And this is a woman who's set so many world records, 15 in total. Twice a world champion, twice an Olympic champion as well. And synonymous with excellence in track and field.
Katarina Johnson-Thompson, who is looking to be the new queen of British heptathlon. Jess isn't ready to go just yet. She's not here through injury, but I think our heritage, if you like, of multi-eventing is looking in very good hands for the future, because she's had a very good championship so far. Really, just that shot put was the blip, wasn't it? PBs all the way since then.
Yeah, it really is. And, you know, everything happens in its right time. You know, she's still developing. There's so much more room for her to grow. And what was important for these championships is her targets. And she wants to finish inside the top 8. We can safely say she's going to tick that box, and so she's competed extremely well.
Let's hand back to Paul Dickinson.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, I tell you what, there is another issue at stake here. She has a possibility, albeit an outside chance, of actually winning a medal. The calculators have been out with the points table that's been provided, and she has got a chance. There's the lineup. All the top athletes there are all from the top 9 places in the heptathlon after 6 events. Shippers, who's in 3rd place currently. Johnson-Thompson, who's in 5th. Melnichenko, the overall leader. Kuchinova down in 8th place. Thiam, this brilliant young teenager from Belgium, just 18 years old, who's lying in 9th place. Then Brianna Tyson-Eaton, the early leader in this heptathlon competition on day 1. Claudia Rath, who's going to be a big danger. She's the best 800-meter runner in this last group of heptathletes, going around 2 laps of the track. She could overtake everybody, including Katarina Johnson-Thompson, then Nadine Breusen of the Netherlands, Sharon Day of the USA, and the European champion finally, Antoinette Nanajimo-Ida of France. But Katarina, the Liverpool Harrier, has had a good 2 days. Melnichenko of the Ukraine, surpassing everybody's expectations, and she has got big support, particularly just round the crown of the first bend. They're all dressed in red and blue, the national colours of the Ukraine. Kuchinova, the Czech Republic, she's a pretty useful 800-meter runner. And Brianna Tyson-Eaton, if you were with us when we had the interview with her husband, Ashton Eaton, of course, he's already won the decathlon. A brilliant all-round athlete. And there is the brilliant young talent of Nafissatou Thiam, 18 years old, European junior champion. A name for the future, as is, of course, Katarina Johnson-Thompson. And at this stage, I must mention a young lady back in the UK who had very bad luck at the World Youth Championships this year, but Morgan Lake is the next of a long line of great talent coming out of the UK at the moment. She's even better than Katarina Johnson-Thompson was at that age. She's an under-17 athlete, and she is excellent. Claudia Rath, though, the German, 6th place. And in terms of time being converted into points, Katarina Johnson-Thompson is only 0.4 of a second ahead of the German at the moment. I suspect what might happen is that Rath of Germany and Johnson-Thompson may go out hard and try and make the other athletes suffer. Sharon Day down in 7th place, a little bit off the pace. She's only a 2:11 performer. And finally, Antoinette Nanajimo-Ida, lifetime best of 2:15.94, but that was some time ago. But she too has got a chance of taking a medal. She's in 4th place and effectively 0.75 of a second behind Daphne Schippers of the Netherlands, who's desperately trying to hang on to her medal position. So it really is a question of calculators and timing. Melnichenko, the champion-elect. Katarina Johnson-Thompson has surpassed everybody's expectations. The final event of the heptathlon. Now, what is Katarina Johnson-Thompson going to do? What is Claudia Rath, the German, going to do? She's out in lane 6. This is a fascinating confrontation, Andrew, and who knows who's going to be the final medalists on the rostrum later on this evening.
Yeah, sort of fitting atmosphere inside the Luzhniki Stadium. It's come to life. Ismaeva, of course, going in the pole vault, and Melnichenko there, the leader, is being roared on by those 2 large pockets of Ukrainian supporters. But remember the times that have to be made here. Katarina Johnson-Thompson, a good 800 runner. She may well try and use Claudia Rath, as Paul's saying, has her own designs, of course, on bronze, the German. And Tyson-Eaton there has hit the front, and she has to beat Melnichenko by, well, almost 5 seconds, which is a very tall order. Their personal best, yeah, it is better, much better, but in a race situation, that doesn't always work out that way.
Well, it's interesting that Melnichenko is just trying to stick to Tyson-Eaton like glue. She's about 2 meters behind, but that would be enough to take the gold medal. Johnson-Thompson is in 4th place. Brianna Tyson-Eaton is not making any move at the moment. She's still there in 1st place. So Claudia Rath, the German, is in 2nd. She's really going for it, is the German. Now come on, Katarina, dig in hard. And there goes the German. If she puts enough space between herself and the rest, she could be in with a chance of a medal. And it could be Daphne Schippers of the Netherlands who will suffer. The Dutch athlete is back in 6th place at the moment. Johnson-Thompson, I fear, may be out of the medals. She hasn't done enough over the first 400 meters. But listen to the roars here. Melnichenko, I think, will be the champion. Brianna Tyson-Eaton will hang on to the silver medal, but Katarina is going for it. This is going to be fascinating. Katarina Johnson-Thompson will finish in second place behind Claudia Rath. I think the German has done enough to overtake the Briton. Schippers goes down on the floor. But I think we can confirm that Melnichenko is the champion. Of that there is no doubt. What is in doubt is who has got silver and bronze. There's the champion. She's become world champion, I think. That's something Natalia Dobrinska, for so long the Ukrainian #1, never did. So there is a new star, Melnichenko, who was not very fit in London last year. Thought she could contend for a medal. In the end, she had problems with ankles. So a medal wasn't forthcoming. And in the absence of Tatiana Chernova, the defending champion from Russia, and our own Jessica Ennis-Hill, the Olympic champion, she is the champion. Ashton Eaton, decathlon champion. His wife couldn't quite make it in terms of becoming the heptathlon champion as well. What do you think of that last event, Denise?
It's always thrilling, and this one had so much drama. It was a case of cat and mouse, and our Katarina Johnson-Thompson did a brilliant job showing the class of Jessica Ennis, just taking on the race. She knew what she had to do, and she came away with a personal best. You can't ask for more than that. Skipper's there, down on her feet. She's really run her heart out. And look at this, a new world champion. She can't believe it. Melnichenko, very surprise winner, but she's done brilliantly this championship, setting personal bests and just really rising to the occasion, Paul.
A lovely moment. She's been really on song for the last 2 days. Ashton Eaton, well, he got married earlier on this year. He's now married to a world championship silver medalist. Brianna Tyson-Eaton has won a silver medal in the World Championships, and she will start as favourite for the Commonwealth Games next year. And Katarina Johnson-Thompson, as Denise was saying, has set a big lifetime best performance in terms of points, 6,449. And this was the closing stages, Andrew. It was a really gutsy performance by the Briton.
Well, by Claudia Rath at the front. Watch as well, just behind Katarina Johnson-Thompson, Schippers trying desperately to hang on to her bronze medal, and she was, well, this was to the very last of her ability here, and she's still down on the track now receiving treatment. And Schippers with a personal best, 2:08.62, down from 2 minutes 15, and that is why that has taken that out of her, astonishing 7 seconds off her personal best to try and hold on to that medal. But a great run from Claudia Rath, and she's looking up at the scoreboard there, and Schippers trying to get close to Johnson-Thompson, but more importantly trying to stay in touch with Rath. And we saw Ashton Eaton watching. Brianna Tyson-Eaton gave her all as well. And all these athletes, this is long after these moments happened, still down receiving some treatment.
Well, Daphne Schippers really, I think, is a name for the future in multi-events. She specialised previously as a sprinter, and boy, can she run. But once she gets used to the technical aspects of multi-events, I think she's going to do extremely well. What a great 2 days Katarina Johnson-Thompson has had. Brianna Tyson-Eaton, well over 6,500 points, and it's silver and gold for the Eaton family in the decathlon and just now in the heptathlon. Here's the result. Katarina Johnson-Thompson finishes 5th in her first World Championship heptathlon competition with a new lifetime best. Lifetime best for Claudia Rath of Germany, who moved ahead of her just in that last event. But the medalists, they come from the Netherlands in the shape of Daphne Schippers, Brianna Tyson-Eaton, who's enthralled us all over the last couple of days. But the champion, well-deserved, a brilliant score as well for her. Gana Melnichenko of the Ukraine becomes heptathlon champion of the world. Well, while all that was going on, of course, the women's pole vault final still underway. Silke Spiegelberg is a very fine vaulter, European silver medalist indoors and the German record holder. 4.65. Just curls over sufficiently to put a tick next to that height. Remember that Asinbaeva had a foul with her first vault of the competition at this height. But look at that, 3 clearances and only 3 attempts. The Olympic silver medalist now, Yarisle Silva of Cuba. And he lost the gold medal to Jenny Suhr on countback, and she's got a problem. Looking over to the coach in the crowd as if to say, what happened there? Well, only she knows. She missed her run-up entirely. Went over 4.55 beautifully. And that's another failure for her. Fabiana Moura won this World Championship unexpectedly 2 years ago. 32 years old now. I wonder if she can last until the Olympics go to Rio, because if she could, she'd be one of the red-hot favourites to take the title. South American record holder now. Plants the pole. Oh, just a little bit way to the right-hand side, but she is clear. Well, this final is really hotting up now. Spiegelberg, Moura, they're clear. First attempt. Remember, Asinbaeva, a failure at this height, and that means she's got to go higher than anybody else. That failure could count against her in the long run, and this competition has got some way to go. Anastasia Savchenko. It's not all about Asinbaeva in Russia. This lady is good too, and she goes clear. Three times she's won the Russian Indoor Championship, which in itself is a great achievement, such as the strength in depth in Russian pole vaulting. World Student Games champion this season as well. So Savchenko is in. 3 athletes clear at this height. Now, what can the queen of pole vault do at this second attempt? It's unusual for her to have to take a second attempt at any height, as she mentally rehearses and talks to herself before every vault. There'll be a massive cheer if she goes clear this time. There'll be worrying moments for her and her coach if she fails it. Oh, she can fly. That will give her confidence now for what is to come, and that is the battle for medals. 4 athletes clear. Jenny Suhr, the Olympic champion, the American #1, has passed at this height. But Asinbaeva is back, and she's so strong. She is clear.
And so we move on to the first of 2 semi-finals in the women's 1500 metres. And there are athletes here who could trouble the favourite, Abiba Aragawi, who goes in the second of the semi-finals. Look out for Faith Kipyegon. Genzebi Dibaba, younger sister of Tirunesh Dibaba, a great athlete in her own right. And Mary Kane as well, athlete with such promise and so much attention focused on her in the United States. Nancy Langat, part of a strong Kenyan contingent. Well, there is Genzebi Dibaba, not a bad running family, a dynasty. Not only his elder sister Tirunesh Dibaba, one of the greatest of all time, but also sister of Ijegeyehu Dibaba, who won a double bronze over 5 and 10,000 in Helsinki back in 2005. Silver in Athens in the Olympics. Look out for Dibaba, look out for Kipyegon, as we said. Mary Kane. And there is Odozynova, the Russian. And this stadium has suddenly got very lively indeed, Brendan.
Yeah, the good news is there's a big crowd, and these athletes are looking forward to running in front of them. Kipyegon, the world junior cross-country champion, moving up onto the track. She's a very accomplished young athlete. Excellent time this year, second fastest in the world this year. Hilali of Morocco is going to be a bit of a danger. The 5 to qualify and the 2 fastest losers. But I think more talent in the second round, the second heat here. And as we pan back, we'll look at Dibaba. Buckman of Australia ran well in her heat, and Mary Kane, the American favourite, and on the outside of her, Langat, the Olympic champion.
On your mark.
So where they go, Kipyegon looks such a diminutive figure, just hanging at the back at the moment next to some of the bigger athletes, but she will certainly be challenging here and in the final. As Brendan was saying, 5 go through automatically, and the next 2 fastest, and being the first of the semi-finals as well, they don't know quite what pace is required, so if in doubt, go quickly.
I think that's a good policy. If in doubt, go quickly. Zoe Buckman looks keen. The Australian in the yellow vest in second place behind the Albanian Geiger, and then Genzebe Dibaba, a young athlete, former world cross-country junior cross-country champion, and this time Mary Kane, the talented young American, moves up on the outside. She's much more involved in today's race than she was in the first round. And also back there, Nancy Langat, Olympic champion, Commonwealth champion, and being followed by her young teammate, the double world cross-country champion, Kipyegon. So 63 for the first lap, and that's pretty good. Good pace here. Mary Kane, nice position. Genzebe Dibaba with a beautiful action, and that style and that action seems to run in this family, and she would have enjoyed the other night watching her sister become the most successful individual in the history of female athletics. Fantastic night for Ethiopia, fantastic night for the sport itself. And this young lady was really keen to run against her sister, the 5,000 metres, but the selectors said, no, only the Ethiopians are only going to be allowed to run in one race. So she's in the 1,500, her sister's in the 10,000.
Yes, it is such an easy style, Dibaba, so too that of Kipyegon is just moving up nicely at the moment, and these two are the second and third quickest times in the world this year, behind Aragawi, who goes, as does Hannah England in the next heat. And we talked about Mary Kane, just in the heart of the group there, and she did run perhaps tactically naively. She is still a youngster, although one of some experience in the first round heat. She can't always rely on her very strong finish.
Well, she has got a great finish. She's very involved in this race today. She's the youngest ever American in the World Championships, which is a fantastic mantle, a title for her to have, you know, because they've got some great young athletes, and also in this event they've had a great young athlete. Mary Decker was a young talent like Mary Kane, and she went on to become world champion. Well, I think Mary Kane may become world champion one day, probably not in these championships. She's now got all to do to qualify today. First 5 and 2 fastest losers, and a lot of them there as they come into the home straight. Round the bend there, and they'll see 1 lap to go, and they're jockeying for position now. They're beginning to make their move. You'd have to do that. Langat, the wise Olympic champion, on the outside, and Genzebe Dibaba, well, she's only getting 1 chance here, and this is it, the 1,500 metres. Now, can she finish anyway in the style of her sister?
Well, Kane is well positioned at the moment, and as we mentioned, she does have that strong finish, but it's crowded as the bell sounds. First 5 to go through, plus the 2 fastest from the 2 semi-finals. Aragawi, Hannah England go in that second semi-final. Dibaba at the front at the moment, looking easy, looking comfortable. Langat moving up alongside. Kipyegon trying to go with her.
And here they come through, 3 laps, 3:18, so that was a little slower, but now they're beginning to release their runs, and now it's about positioning. Get your clear run. Genzebe Dibaba's trying to run the finish out of them, trying to go from a long way out. Mary Kane's just waiting on the outside. Kipyegon, the young Kenyan athlete, the double World Junior cross-country champion, is putting herself in with a chance too.
The crowd trying to lift the 2 Russians there, Podyoznova on the inside, but it's only 5 that go through automatically. Dibaba still there, Kipyegon moving through. Here comes Mary Kane, the 17-year-old, trying to become the youngest ever middle distance runner to make a World Championship final. It's a furious finish. Only 5 go through automatically. Kipyegon's going to get the victory. And Dibaba in there as well, just about in 4th place. Mary Kane alongside her, but my goodness, sort that one out.
What a finish from Zoe Buckman of Australia. She was very, very lucky. There was an opportunity on the inside. She seized it, put herself in with a run. She was impressive the other day in the first round. That was extremely impressive for the Australian. But there is Dibaba. She's holding that position and suddenly begins to drift on the outside. And there's no luckier athlete today than Zoe Buckman, running through on the inside in the famous green and yellow of Australia. Kip Yegon looking good. And now Dibaba finishing, slowing, and I think she might have squeezed through, but the Olympic champion has probably run out of it. There's Kip Yegon. Zoe Buckman really shocked a few people in that race, but that was a great performance from her. Kip Yegon looked good. Mary Kane just stole it. Genzebe Dibaba and the Olympic champion Nancy Lang got out of it.
Well, the door opened for her in her first round heat as well. A couple of gaps appeared on the inside, and she took advantage of the opportunity here as well.
Well, it's not something you should recommend, because at this point she could have easily been closed out into 4th place. But there, hoping and waiting and getting the chance. Zoe Buckman racing through on the inside. Kip Yegon looking and holding her form. Genzebe Dibaba just fading there. Mary Kane just settling and relaxing. Well, that was a good performance by Kane, an impressive performance by Zoe Buckman, an impressive performance by the Kenyan Kip Yegon, and I think this final is going to be pretty exciting because a couple of those athletes have got chances.
Well, there we are. Zoe Buckman going through. Kip Yegon, Korobkina for Russia. Mary Kane goes through to the final. A 17-year-old Dibaba also. Langat will have to wait.
This pole vault competition, the final of the women's competition, is turning out to be a cracker. Another Russian on the runway, Angelina Zuktrasnova. Plenty of time left on the clock. 4:65, and she gets it. That's only a little bit below her lifetime best, so she's produced her best when it matters most. We've also got Yaroslav Silva of Cuba on a 3rd and final attempt. 3 athletes cleared it first time. Asimbaeva at a 2nd attempt, and now there's another Russian in the mix. The next target will be a height that she's never cleared. Well, the previous attempt at 4:65 for the Olympic silver medalist Silva of Cuba was a shocking attempt. So she's got to bring all her experience to bear now if she's going to make this count and stay in this final. And she gets it. A lovely vault. It must be so much pressure when you've got a 3rd and final attempt on any height, but especially when it's to stay in the hunt for medals in a major championship final. Lovely vault by Silva. I'm sure she can go higher, but she's going to have to if she's going to win this. Those 2 attempts where she failed could count against her. The familiar pose of a great champion. 4:75 now is the target for the world record holder, Elena Asimbaeva. First attempt. Oh, nails it. Makes it look so easy when it's going well. She said earlier on in July that my career will finish 100% at the World Championships. But I have to tell you, she has changed her mind. More about that later on. The world record holder is safely clear, and she has now taken an advantage over the rest.
Building to a great climax in the stadium tonight, and Hannah England just trying to compose herself. It's very loud, there's a great atmosphere. She's just got to focus now on the next 3 3/4 laps. She's seen that first semi-final running about 4:5, and she has to come in the top 5 here. It's probably the slightly more difficult semi, but not much to choose. But there are 2 very big names in here, Aragawi of Sweden and Jenny Simpson of the USA, the defending champion. Aragawi, the world #1 this year, and Obiri of Kenya will be a big threat as well. But Hannah well capable of going through. Don't forget, she won the silver medal at the World Championships 2 years ago. Quick word from Paula before we go. Should be okay, shouldn't she?
I hope so, but I agree on paper this is the harder semi, although that did go faster and more down to the wire, that first one. So she knows she has to go faster than 4:05.32. She looks a little bit better than she did the other morning. I thought she looked really nervous then, so fingers crossed.
Yeah, I'm told she was quite relaxed around the team hotel today, and I think she knows she's in good shape. She went straight to Font-Romeu, a little way from Hannah, went straight to Font-Romeu after the trials, and then joined the rest of the team in Barcelona at the training camp. Jenny Simpson coming back to the sort of form that saw her win a very tactical race 2 years ago in Daegu. Next to her actually was Rodriguez, who, well, all 4 people from that race are in this second semi-final. Obiri has had a great year. Kenyan champion and won their trials, but this is the world #1. Former Ethiopian, now running for Sweden. She's been preparing for this race in Ethiopia. She is in supreme form this year, and I cannot see anybody, barring any falls. I'll bring Brendan in on that once we get going, because the last couple of World Championships in the women's 1500, there's been plenty of falls. So, Hannah England, let's hope it's safe here. Let's hope that it's with the first one being at 4:05, I hope somebody takes us out and just stretches it out a little bit. 2 fastest loser spots available, top 5 guaranteed. And it's an interesting dilemma, isn't it, Brendan? They will have seen what happened, they should know what's happened, but there aren't too many sort of front runners here, and they may be a little bit, well, reticent to go at the front, because everybody, I think there's a lot of people in there, like Simpson, like Hannah England, like Aragawi, like Rodriguez, even the Russian Sharmina, all think they can kick.
Well, that's right, but I think Hannah England seriously has got to just think about finishing in the first 5. Forget about that time, because Hannah has got a powerful finish, as she did demonstrate on her way to that silver medal. She came from way down the straight, came racing on through, and there's Aragawi in the blue and yellow vest of Sweden. She is an athlete who's impressed all the time this season. She's been extremely good. She's been unbeatable almost. And there, Hannah England just settling into the back. And I thought Hannah England looked really controlled on the start line. Sometimes she does look a little nervous, and I gather she's in good spirits. I think she's ready to run a good race. And she's on the inside there, taking the shortest route, not doing anything special and not worrying too much, and hopefully not worrying about the pace at all.
Well, it's slow, 66.8. And the first semi-final did slow on the second, third lap, and they bunched, and this group the same. And this is when accidents can happen. Sharmina was the one who was surprised by Jess Judd in the European Team Championships. She came back and won the 1500 in those European Team Championships, where she beat Hannah England. So she's a danger for Hannah. Aragawi we know all about. Obiri we know all about. Lakaoud is in there as well. She's leading on the inside, I think rather reluctantly then. Sharmina, Belletta just moving up on the outside, but you could throw a blanket over them, Brent.
And that is the danger, that is the problem, especially when athletes decide that 2 laps to go they need to take a bit better position. Sharmina is leading but not doing anything at all. They're getting even tighter, and then they all start running onto the inside trying to get the shortest route. But sometimes, you know, when you're going slowly, it doesn't really matter. Hannah England's getting an easy ride there on the inside, and that's good news. She's in a good position there, but really she's got to start becoming more and more aware. Aragawi, if you look at her, you know she's going to end up in a good position. So really it's about, on this back straight, an opportunity to just settle it out, just get yourself ready, because you don't want to give them a start going into the last lap. And there Hannah England's looking for that inside run. Will she get it?
This is where some names worry for Hannah on the third lap. I always like people to be where Aragawi is now, because there's no guarantees that that gap will come for Hannah. She's trusting her pace, she's trusting her judgment, but she's got to hope that the holes appear, the athletes move out when they start to kick you, but the race is not on, and this is slower than the first semi-final. Sharmina on the shoulder of Lakaoud, Aragawi there, Belletta, Obiri tucked in the group, Police of Poland, she's not such a good kicker, and she's in front of Hannah England, and that's my worry. Hannah needs to get past the Polish athlete, she's just going to squeeze through now.
Yeah, she got another lucky run there on the inside. Sharmina moving it along, Hannah England in a decent place, but then look at them all around her. The bell sounds. Aragawi's poised there. Abiri, the Kenyan, is poised. Now, is Hannah going to get another little bit of luck? I certainly hope she does. We really would like to see Hannah England in the final. And now it's beginning to open up. Now Hannah's got to concentrate on her running down the back straight. We know how strong she is in the finishing straight. She's got to be in a good position when we come into the finishing straight. And she's doing this beautifully. She's getting the timing, she's getting the run, and now she's running herself into a qualifying position.
Hannah looking relaxed, but there's still lots of work to do. Rodriguez is just behind her, and that's a dangerous position. But only 5 go through, and Hannah England in 5th at the moment. She's got to hold them off behind. I think she'll be able to. And that looks like Lakoud has just stopped on the top end. So Aragawi, Simpson, Obiri, Shamina, and Hannah England in a qualifying position. And she'll have to keep this going. Just needs to hold off the Canadian, who's finishing strongly. But it's Aragawi, Obiri, Simpson, Shamina, Hannah England through to the final. And that was a smart move to stay on the inside. She had to wait for the gap. She had to trust her kick. She had to trust that nobody else would come around the outside. Rodriguez rather faded badly. Lakoud, as I said, stopped on the top bend. But well done, Hannah England. It was the slower semi-final. 6th wouldn't have been good enough. She had to be in the top 5 there, as she was, and she's through to the final.
5th was good enough for Hannah England. Aragawi looking good. Jenny Simpson, the reigning champion, on the inside in the red vest of the United States. Abiri, the Kenyan. Shamina of Russia, and Hannah England, once she got into the finishing straight, she got a couple of breaks, she got a couple of inside runs, she concentrated, and you could see on the bend she was beginning to relax. But this athlete, Aragawi, the former Ethiopian, now running for Sweden and living in Sweden, looks comfortable and looks good. There's Shamina now into the straight, and there's 5 clear, and Hannah, she's good in the finishing straight. She just had to keep going at that pace. Abiri is trying to challenge, but I honestly think Aragawi's jogging there down the finishing straight, you know. Jenny Simpson working for it, Abiri working for it, Shamina dropping off a little bit, and there she goes across the line. Well done, Hannah England.
Well, Hannah had to trust there that the gaps opened up. We were a little bit nervous. Paula, what did you make of that?
Yeah, I agree. I was a little bit nervous, and definitely Aragawi looks very, very comfortable. Simpson and Abiri behind, they're racing. They're checking back a little bit. I think Hannah, she had it comfortably. She had to check herself at 200 meters. Somebody pulled out in front of her, and I think that cost her a little bit of energy. And coming into the home straight, I think she knew that she was the 5th, and she's not trying to give it all here. I think she's got more left, and I think she will also grow in confidence now for the final, that she's just got to go out there and just run her final, run her race.
Safely through. I'm sure she's going to be absolutely delighted. She's with Phil.
Yeah, very happy. Hannah England alongside me, Steve. And Paul was just talking there, looking over those replays of the race, that when it comes to the final now, you can just go out, just run your race, give it a go, give it your all.
Absolutely. I really, really want to make this final. It's been my aim all winter, all these crazy training sessions, all the early mornings, everything. Been to make this final. I'm over the moon. I'm really happy.
We know how much strength in depth there is in your event, but there you had, the first 4 finishers from Daegu 2 years ago in the World Championship final, so it was a tough one.
Yeah, no, I did think that I wasn't aware 4th was there as well, but I knew all 3 of the medalists from 2 years ago in the same race. And that the heat before was so close. The semi-final one was so close, and that made me nervous. All I was thinking was that last 50 was how close the previous race had been. I think I got a little bit tense the last 100, like worried someone was going to come past me, but no, I'm glad I pulled it off.
You must be so proud of yourself when you've set yourself a goal like this all year long and you've achieved it.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking all day today. The only final I failed to make in my career was last year at the Olympics, which I had injury, so I was thinking, come on, if I can just keep this record going, keep making finals. And also, my husband Luke promised to fix my bike for me if the pedal came off. So he promised to fix that back on for me if I made the final, so you better be doing that.
Yeah, Luke, get that bike fixed. Good luck in the final. Well done, Hannah.
Thank you. Thanks everyone at home for support. Cheers.
Surely she deserves a new bike. What do you mean fix her bike? She's in the World Championship final again. Last time, of course, she made it through, won the silver medal. Simpson, the defending champion, through, but Aragawi, very impressive, must be the favourite.
The second highest vaulter in history now, Jenny Suhr of the United States, just about to take Only her second attempt in the competition. Well, everybody else was fighting it out at 4.65. She passed on that height. So 4.55 first attempt. Can she do it again? Yes, she can. The American matches Elena Asimbaeva. And immediately rushes to the top of the leaderboard. Asimbaeva, of course, had a failure at 4.65. And that has begun to count against her. I just wonder if we're going to see any sort of records here tonight. Asimbaeva broke the world record when she first won the World Championship way back in Helsinki. And she's now got Jenny Suhr of the USA for company.
Medal ceremony for the women's 100 meters held last night, of course, and well, there's probably more people in here tonight than there was for the actual race, which is good. The defending champion was Carmelita Jeter and put up a stout defense of that, considering all of the problems that she'd had heading into these World Championships. A quadricep pull happened in Shanghai right at the beginning of the season. Helmut Wakel, when was it, 1984, her Olympic gold medal. Americans came with lots of new talents. English Gardner, Octavius Freeman. But it was a familiar figure who got onto the rostrum, as I said, Carmelita Jeter. I think would be pretty happy. She seemed happy last night. It's been a tough year for her. And at one point, I'm not sure Medi would have expected to see this. .10.94. Gold 2 years ago, bronze this time. Well, there might not have been a bigger smile than the one which went or came across the face of Muriel Hure, the fast-starting Ivory Coast athlete. Has got better and better all year. Will go well in the 200 as well. 10.93 for the silver medal. I think there were more fancied athletes coming into these championships, but Hure performed it brilliantly. But to be honest, there was never any question about who was going to win, barring a false start. But in the end, it was a stunning performance. A two-time Olympic champion, a former world champion, now world champion again. 2011, 2013, did I say 2011? 10.71. Fastest in the world this year. Simply supreme. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce of Jamaica. Beautifully colour coordinated as well. Hair, lips, everything. Medal ceremony has to have the Jamaican national anthem, men or women. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce getting a little bit used to this now. It's certainly one of her best performances in a final. Certainly one of her most dominant. It was a great night last night, wasn't it? We all concentrated on Christina Hurrigou, but she is a big, big star of this sport. And another gold medal for her. Well, who's going to win the gold medal in the 1500 metres? That's on Thursday. Zoe Buckman heading up the qualifiers. Very good run from the Australian. Kipyegon was good, but maybe that second semi-final had the main contenders. Aragawi, for me, head and shoulders above the rest. Simpson, the defending champion, and Hannah England will contest that final. Can she repeat what she did 2 years ago?
Well, we've seen two athletes go clear at 4:75 at the first attempt. This is a chance now for Silke Spiegelberg of Germany. German record holder. Lovely runner, and she goes clear at the first attempt. This is one of her best global championships. She's looked superb throughout this final. So the role of honor at the moment is Asimbayeva, Suhr of the United States, and now Spiegelberg. She's really up for this competition, a season's best for her. But the medals will be won at heights even higher than this. Yadisle Silva of Cuba. She had that terrible experience at 4:65, where she had to go over at the third and final attempt. This is a second attempt for her after a very lackluster effort on the first time, but she's clear, still in there fighting. So that's 4 athletes clear at this height. Silver medalist in the Olympic Games, but only 5th in the last final in Daegu. After all, she has progressed, made remarkable progress over the last 12 months. She's now the 3rd highest vaulter in history, but safely over at the second attempt. Now, Fabiana Moura, the defending champion, has got a problem. This to stay in the final. Oh, no! Way out to the right-hand side, couldn't get the penetration she required, so her reign as world champion is over. Certainly one of the favourites before this competition began. So it's back to the drawing board for Fabiana Moura, the Brazilian superstar of pole vaulting. Her best effort, 4:65.
So Andrew Asagi made the Olympic final last year, ran a personal best in one of the all-time classic races, and he goes again in the World Championship final in just a few moments' time.
Don't worry, you won't miss anything from that 800-meter race. But the pole vault is reaching a crucial stage now. If Asimbayeva can go clear at the first attempt, she's got a really big chance of retaining a title. She lost one in 2007. No! There is a chink in her armor, and she's proved it at this height. The first athlete to attempt this height. So Jenny Suhr has got it all to do. Can the American take advantage? Normally her technique is so solid. Her training has been brilliant by all accounts, but she needs to go again.
Well, a great 800 final in store. Asagi will be on the inside. Lewandowski of Poland, Simmons of the United States, Suleiman of Djibouti, Solomon of the United States, Aman of Ethiopia, Mohammed of Saudi Arabia, and Boss of France. No David Rudisha, but that means we have an intriguing race, and I think there are a lot of men in this field will think, not only can they win a medal, maybe can I win it. Boss, the Frenchman who's had such a great year, on the outside. Andrew Asagi will start on the inside. I think he's done really well to make the final. I think he'll be like everybody else. He knows it's going to be hard. We expect Dwayne Solomon, the front-running American, to take it out. We're expecting a fast race, but I'm expecting a close race. I think in the end they'll all be finishing hard, and this might be the man who they're all chasing down. He's the #1 in the world. beat David Rudisha right at the beginning of the season. Rudisha, of course, missing with a knee injury. 800 final. Nick Symmonds of the USA is a fast finisher. The likes of Lewandowski can finish quickly. The 1500-meter man from Djibouti, Suleiman, will be a big danger. Everywhere you look, people with possibilities here, Brendan. An intriguing final. Solomon there to be shot out. He should go at the front. That's what we expect. His coach, Johnny Gray, used to do this, and Solomon is maybe, if anything, better than him at doing it.
23.53, a fast opening 200 metres, and we might have the Olympic champion David Rudisha, the world record holder, missing. But there's Andrew Assaji in the race, and it's great to have him in the race. But we've got the 5 fastest men in the world this year in the race, and there's the fastest, Dwayne Solomon. My question is, can the Ethiopian big favourite Aman, can he go the rounds? Nick Symmonds moving strongly, 50.2, and who's judged this one the right? I think Andrew Assaji has drifted to the front in that position pretty comfortably and pretty well. 50 point is going to take something out of you. Solomon's going strongly, Symmonds is following him, and Aman coming under a little bit of pressure. The other man, Suleiman, moving quickly onto the outside.
They're all there waiting to strike. Watch for Suleiman, the green figure on the outside. Aman's in the green vest on the inside of Ethiopia. He'll be strong in the home straight, but it's the 2 Americans. Assaji is coming, he's going to pass Boss, but he's a long way back at the moment. It's USA 1, USA 2, Solomon, Symmonds, Aman, Suleiman, then Mohammed on the inside. He's fading, Assaji trying to pick them off, but it's Nick Symmonds of the USA striking first, but here comes Aman. Aman is trying to get there, he's the world number 1. Symmonds has never won a medal, he'll get it this time, but it's gold to Aman, silver to Symmonds. Suleiman takes the bronze, Assaji in 5th place, 1:43.3, and in the end, he's looked ragged in the heat, he looked tired in the semi-final, he is the world's number 1 this year, and he is now the world champion. Aman of Ethiopia timed it perfectly, and well done Nick Symmonds. He's been to these championships many times, he's never won a medal, he should be happy with the medal, but you know, Brendan, I think he probably thought he could win it. Assaji's done very well, he's done brilliantly to get himself into this final and to run well in the final, because he's had all sorts of injury problems leading up to this. But I suppose in the end, all season long, we shouldn't be surprised that it's Aman who's come out on top.
Well, he was a favourite. Dwayne Solomon, the fastest man in the world this year, looking strong into the finishing straight, and there goes Nick Symmonds. He's making his run for victory. He almost thinks at this point that it is victory, and Aman, the favourite before this race, who had looked poor in the rounds, who had looked poor in the semi-final, comes across the line, and what a glorious victory for Ethiopia. The first time Ethiopia have ever won an event below 5,000 metres in a world level event, and that is brilliant, and a very, very good finish, a great performance by Andrew Assaji in 5th place, 1:44, and that's the best he's run all season. He judged it right, he ran it right. And I was asking questions about Aman because he was struggling through the rounds. He really was. And here he is. I think Nick Symmonds thought he had it from here. He looked powerful. Solomon was sadly fading. Assaji was running strongly. And Aman, well, they're great distance runners, these Ethiopians, but this is the first great middle distance runner from Ethiopia. 800 metres has not been their territory. And this man, the strong young man from Ethiopia, he's only 19 years of age. And he's matured very, very quickly. What a great performance. More celebrations in Meskel Square in Addis Ababa. And really, it would be a great place to be tonight, because I'll tell you what, we'll get a shot with that one, because they've never had chances at that event before.
Well, he was the world indoor champion last year. Now he is the world champion. A season's best for him, 1:43.31. Symmonds ran really well, 1:43.55. Suleiman, watch out for him in the 1500 metres. And then the Europeans, Lewandowski and Andrew Assaji with an excellent 5th place. He's with Phil.
And a season's best, Stephen. What a time to do it as well, Andrew, in the final. Assess the race for me, first of all, from your perspective.
Yeah, I never thought the day would come where I'd be happy finishing 5th. For me, that was slightly better than I expected. We were aiming to try to run about 1:44.5, and that would be another step forward. So I ran a little bit quicker, dipped someone again on the line. Yeah, I'm actually happy with it. A bit frustrated.
looking at the medal positions, there maybe was a medal up for grabs there if I was in last-time best shape, but unfortunately I wasn't. I did my best, and that's all I could ask for.
You also learned a lot about yourself, though, to get to this position, 5th in the world. On the kind of build-up you've had, it's been pretty much decimated.
Yeah, I'm just trying to keep my feet on the ground. I'm still trying to work hard regardless of the problems. That's what it's all about. You've got to work hard, otherwise you're not going to achieve what you want to achieve. All I did was come out here today and try and on 100%, give 100%. That's what I did. Yeah, thank you to everyone again, same as yesterday, 2 days ago. All the support staff, physios, coach especially, girlfriend, family, everyone. Thank you for all your support.
Well done, Andrew. Cheers. We're going to go to Isinbayeva in the pole vault right behind you.
Okay, I think she's got a better bum than me, that's why.
Big smile from everybody in the commentary box. Jelena Isinbayeva. Can she become the first athlete to clear 4:82? Yes, she can. That, I think, is the biggest cheer that Luzhniki Stadium has heard since these championships began. Superb. Every time her name is announced in the stadium, she doesn't have to do anything, but she receives huge applause from this Moscow crowd, or the predominantly Moscow crowd, should I say. But Jelena Isinbayeva is now in first place. Second attempt, 4:82. The best vault she's achieved this year. Can she go higher? And surely
Well, the atmosphere here tonight in the Luzhniki has just kind of ratcheted up, hasn't it, a notch or two. I mean, even from the 100-metre final, which ordinarily is the night when you feel like the atmosphere is electric, they're loving their pole vault tonight.
Exactly. I was going to say, who's Bolt in Russia? They don't care. They want Issy. And she's out there and she's
living up to it at the moment. But I think Andrew Assaji was doing his bottom down. Let's talk about Andrew's race, because to come into this without the kind of season he would have liked, not able to run the time he ran last year in the Olympics, and perform the way he has, we have a real championship runner there, don't we? Who raises his game in the major championships.
Yeah, what he's learned this year more than anything else is how to manage your body and how to learn how much preparation you absolutely need to be championship ready. And I'm saying not at the best shape, but to make sure that you are competitive. And that's exactly what he did. He hung back, he assessed the race, he made sure he stuck to his race plan, and when the moment came for him to strike, he was there, he was ready, and it was decisive. And like we've talked so much this week already about running through the line, Andrew Assaji made sure
Solomon to get that
absolutely made sure that he got that extra place.
And Solomon, his race tactics, we know he was going to go out hard, but he'll have to review perhaps the way he did that.
I think so. I mean, I don't think they ran as a team, but certainly his race plan suited Simmons, and Simmons very nearly won it. It was only that Omana, I think, has been going to the Mo Farah School of Acting, and that I'm tired in the semi-finals and I'll just come back with loads left in the final. But I was talking to Andrew Assaji's coach, Craig Winrow, yesterday, and he said if we can find that extra half a second, I think he can get there and not be stepping up from finishing where he finished last year in the Olympics to getting in there in the middle of it. And he did that, and he found more than that. And I think that I think he will grow in confidence from that, because he'll look at that and he'll see what he did off the preparation that he's had, which has been very limited, and he'll know that of good preparation, like you said, of working hard, he can go up there and challenge for a medal.
And I'm guessing that when you have a performance like that, where you think, actually, I've exceeded my own expectations, it motivates you going into a tough winter's training then, because you feel like, well, yeah, actually, if I can get things right, if I'm fit, where can I take myself? Where can my times go?
Definitely. I think two things as well. I think he'll also be frustrated from everything that's happened this year. I mean, he got food poisoning, then he got the hamstring injury. So those things will fire him up to make sure that he looks after things really well during the winter to stay healthy and come out. But it will also grow in confidence from that, because he knows what he did off very little training.
Sometimes athletes have to accept a good performance and not try and dissect it to its nth degree, because that was really, really good. I mean, he should be very pleased at what he's achieved. And like he said, it's a long winter, and he knows that it's about keeping that health intact, and I'm sure he'll look forward to a great
After
season
hearing
next year.
Nick Symmonds the other day talk about how desperate he was for a medal on the global stage, having missed out so many times, hats off, congratulations to him. But let's go back outside, because that pole vault competition is really hotting up, and I can see Yaceli Silva of Cuba is getting the crowd going. They don't need much more of that. But let's look at taking Jenny Sir's vault from a little bit earlier on first.
Well, if Jenny Sir wants to stay in this final, she's got to clear a height she has not achieved this year so far. So here goes the Olympic champion. Oh, this time she nails it. She looks full of confidence. 31 years old now, exactly the same age as Jelena Osinbaeva. And so far, the only difference between the two is that Osinbaeva had one failure earlier on at 465. They both took 2 clearances to go over 482. So Jenny Sir is now in pole position, Osinbaeva in second place. Good performance by the American. Well, Yaceli Silva has been a spectator while Osinbaeva and Sir went over 482. If she wants to stay in the competition and contend, she's got to really get it this time. Oh, she was high enough, but the depth of her vault was not sufficient. She took it off on the way down. May have to adjust the position of the uprights next time. There's a lot more to pole vaulting than just going high. But Silva, just one more attempt left if she wants a medal.
Eilish McColgan there, going in the 3,000-metre steeplechase final in just a few minutes' time. She has had a torrid year. She's done most of her training outside of running off the track. She's had to use cross trainers. To get to this final, it is a big achievement for her.
A very big achievement. I mean, she's had a serious shin injury, which has meant that pretty much she's been doing her track sessions, and then everything else around that has just been on the cross trainer. So to come out and perform as well as she has done has been brilliant, and let's hope that she was able to recover from running that personal best in the heats and can go out there and perform now.
Well, she's from great stock, isn't she? Her mum, Liz, a world champion, Olympic silver medalist as well, and she was born 9 months.
Her dad is Northern Ireland record holder in the steeplechase, so I mean, she's not without the steeplechase pedigree too.
Absolutely. She was born 9 months after that World Championship as well, so she is literally a product of the World Championships. Let's go now down to Andrew Cotter, who's commentator here.
Good genes, to say the least, when you think about the parentage of Eilish McColgan. But again, to be here, just to be here in this final is quite some achievement, and it's a route. We talk about Di Green, we've heard from Andra Asagi, all the injury problems. Sometimes athletes just have to deal with that, but it's hardly ideal. But looking at the medal contenders, I think of the men's steeplechase is ruled by the Kenyans. That hasn't been the case in the women's steeplechase, which is still a very young event. But the Kenyans do have a very good chance here, because the defending champion, Yulia Zarapova, had to withdraw, the Russian from Moscow. She had a problem in training, the trials. So you look elsewhere, you look at Chep Karui, Brendan and Milka Chemos as the favourites.
Well, I was speaking to the manager of Milka Chemos last night. There's the start list. Chep Karui and Chemos together, they train together. They've got the same management, the same coach. And they're really nervous today about the Ethiopians, and I'm not surprised. The Ethiopians have been looking, Asefa has been looking particularly good, as well as Ayelu. Well, Eilish McColgan, though, for me, wins a prize. 3 weeks ago, she was advised not to run in these championships because of the injury she had. And if anything runs in that family, it's bravery, and really, she's done a fantastic job to be here.
Well, as far as the Cuban is concerned, this pole vault competition is all about this vault. She needs this to stay in. She needs this if she wants a medal. And she gets it. So she joins Osinbaeva and Jenny Sir, but at least the Olympic silver medalist is assured of a medal in this pole vault final. It was all or nothing for Yaceli Silva, the youngest of the medalists now. We know who the medalists are, we just don't know in which order they're going to finish. Silke Spiegelberg, the German, has gone out. She was actually ahead of the Cuban in terms of countback, but Silva has guaranteed herself a place on the rostrum. She's cleared 490 this year, so she can go higher.
So we're ready. Eilish McColgan is ready. Quite a challenge, though, when you consider the East African presence of higher caliber athletes. She knows that, and there is well, she's named as Milka Chewa, but she is Milka Chemos. She'll wear Chewa on her shirt as well, but better known as Milka Chemos, bronze medalist in the last 2 World Championships. There's Hiwot Ayalu. We talk about the Ethiopian challenge to the Kenyans. A tall, elegant man. Only tried steeplechase for the first time a couple of years ago and took to it rather well. Etanesh Diro won her first round heat. I wonder if the Ethiopians and the Kenyans will team up. You talked about the same management for a couple of the Kenyans, and will it be a team event? So 7.5 laps of the track, 35 barriers, the final of the women's 3,000 metre steeplechase. Watch for McColgan as well. She was trying to work out why she picked up this stress fracture of her right shin, and thought that it could only be because of the way she goes over the water jump, and she's changed her style a little bit, stuttering into the barrier there, but she now tries to clear it, tries to hurdle it rather than stepping on it. She feels that that is a little bit better for her in managing it, but again, just to be here competing, she's not going to challenge for the medals, but enjoy the experience, and again try and improve on the personal best she set in the heats.
Well, I'm really pleased to see Eilish McColgan in this event. 22 years and 9 months ago she was born. 22 years ago, almost to the month, her mother Liz ran one of the great races in British distance running history when she won the 10,000 metres in the World Championships. And this young lady, she's certainly inherited Liz's determination, and she's been so determined to be here that it's fantastic to see. Straight over the water, straight. She doesn't even touch the sides, doesn't even touch the barrier, and this is the race is beginning to settle down in the manner that we expected. As I said, we spoke to the manager of Chemos last night. Her training partner Chip Karui's in there too, and he said we're really nervous about the 2 Ethiopians, particularly 2 of them, and straight away, 1 lap gone, 3 Ethiopians and 3 Kenyans in the first 6, and they're pulling away already from the field. I think we're going to see a great battle here, and this is going to be a first, because neither Ethiopia nor Kenya have won the women's steeplechase before, and that is a really significant step.
Well, let's go to the pole vaults.
Just under 6 laps to go in that steeplechase final, but Yelena Asimbaeva is on the runway to try and negotiate her way above 4 meters 89 at the very first attempt, and once again try and take the advantage away from the American Jenny Suhr. Listen to the crowd if she goes clear. Oh yes! Absolutely wonderful stuff. Asimbaeva really on top of her game now. Can the American respond? World champion in 2007, world champion back in 2005. 2 Olympic titles, numerous world records. Is this yet another world title for the great one, Yelena Asimbaeva of Russia?
And the roars from that ring around the stadium. Asimbaeva in the background there, and already it's turning into an East African demonstration. We talked about 3 Ethiopians, 3 Kenyans in the start of this final, and they have broken away. Ayalu taking them out ahead of Milka Chemos. And Kemoy in there as well. Etanesh Diro. And very, very difficult. I can see that Salima Alami, I think, is trying to bridge the gap, but she's around a lone figure in the middle, and Eilish McColgan in the second group. But the winner on all the medals are going to come from this first group.
Well, it's a very fast opening here. 3 minutes and 1 second for the first 1,000 meters. And Ayalu looks happy to lead, looks comfortable there over the barrier. No problems in the water there. And Eilish McColgan's running a fine race there back in that field. There's a second group. There's one athlete on their own, and then there's a second group, and Eilish is right in amongst it, really giving it of her best. And Liz has done a great job in getting her ready for this final. And she'll be somewhere in the stadium. She said she was so proud in the heats that she finished and qualified with a Scottish record time. So now Chemos leading. She's taken over from Ielu. There's Eilish McColgan running well. She's got some good athletes around her. She's being competitive. We'd like to see her split time individually, but this is a good performance.
Well, interestingly, she was asking her doctor, said, what's the worst that can happen if I carry on competing, because I want to compete, I want to go to the World Championships? And the doctor said, well, the worst that can happen is there's a real prospect of you breaking your leg. She said, well, that's fine. If that happens, I'll be out for the rest of the season, but I'll have competed at the World Championships.
That's horrible, terrible, isn't it, thinking about that? But you know, she did break her leg before the World Championships in 2011 after she'd been selected, and she was determined this time not to let an injury get in the way of her competing. Because, you know, the first time around she sadly had to sit and watch it, and this time here she is competing in it, and I think competing extremely well.
Yeah, the commitment to running and wanting to be here is fierce from Eilish McColgan. Huge gap though between that group at the back and this one here. And again, you look at this and you might think that this is normal behaviour, this is a normal pattern in the women's steeplechase. Well, it's not. It's only been in the World Championship since 2005. There was a Ugandan winner then, but then it's been Russia and Spain, and Russia who provided the champions. At the 2 Olympic Games, Beijing and London, it was the Russian Anara Galkina who won, and Yulia Zarapova. So we're going to have a new country getting the women's 3,000 metre steeplechase title here. It's going to be either Ethiopia or Kenya, but which one of these 6?
Well, the Kenyan the dynasty of men's steeplechasing, and now they're determined to follow in that suit, but they're going to have some competition today. And this is a scene we've seen many times in distance races, often 10,000 metres, men or women. Here we are this time on the track, and Chemos is really determined to try and run as hard and as fast as she can. Diro, the 3rd string Ethiopian, moving alongside her. Chip Karui, the training partner of Chemos, was supposed to share some of the pace and try and help her break this down, and I wonder if she's going to be able to run on terms with her. They're coming up to the 2,000 metre point. The race is strong and being run and led firstly by Asefa, and then by Ielu, and then by Chemos. 3:09, so it's slowed that second kilometre of 3:09, so 6:10 for the first 2,000 metres, and now we really have a race. And Chemos, she's determined to win this one. She's been twice 3rd before, and this she at times has threatened and won Diamond League races, been so impressive over the whole circuit, but she desperately wants to be the first Kenyan woman to win the women's steeplechase.
Yes, if you look at the season, you would say, well, Chemos would be the favourite. She won in Rome and Ostrava, the Birmingham Diamond League meeting, the Kenyan World Trials in Monaco. In fact, the last time that she lost was in the Kenyan Police Championships, which tells you a lot about the fitness of the police force there. Eilish McColgan still running strongly. Just looking back at that group there, she's just beginning to be left behind a little bit. Oh, and we had a follower there in the leading group as we watch Eilish McColgan and trying to get back on terms at the moment. I think it's Asefa at the back there from Ethiopia.
Well, Asefa there took a tumble, but she's back into her running. And the interesting thing is Eilish McColgan, 6:26 for 2,000 metres. She's on her way to a personal best if she can just hold this together. But the race at the front is getting really serious. Chemos is so determined. She's so fearful of the Ethiopians. She's going to try and run the finish out of the team. Her and her teammate trying to run the finish, and just a yard or 2 begins to open, and she comes into the finishing straight, begins to drive, and Chemos of Kenya and her teammate, training partner coming up alongside her, but the 2 of them now beginning to put away. And look at the time there. It's quick, it's fast, and it's getting faster. And Chemos, the bronze medalist from last time around, hears the bell and strikes out. 7:57, so it could be a really fast time, but who's going to win it? Who's going to prevail?
Well, the picture is becoming clearer now. 3 breakaway in Asefa after that fall, struggling to get back on terms. 2 Kenyans, 1 Ethiopian out in front. We have Milka Chemos, we have Lydia Chepkurui, and they set the pace at the moment. And Chemos striding away. Hewat Ayalu there as well, but two Kenyans to battle for the gold.
The two fastest women in the world. Chemos the fastest, Chepkurui with her too, and here they come racing into the water jump. Let's watch the tactics and let's watch how they hold it, because this is really interesting and there's a battle coming up from behind. But here they go, the last water jump, a stutter from Chemos. She's over without touching the barrier on the top, and now the chase is on. This is why she was nervous. She was nervous about the finish.
And what an impressive run from Assefa as well, the Ethiopian. After her fall coming back, she may even get close to silver. Chemos looks to be tiring, stuttering into the final barrier. Does she have a kick off the back of it? Yes, she does. Milka Chemos coming through to take the gold medal. Kenya's first in this event, and it will be her teammate Chepkurui who gets the silver. Assefa takes the bronze after her fall, but the champion is Milka Chemos.
Well, I'm really pleased about that. She worked for it, she ran for it, she got a little bit of luck when Assefa fell on the back straight. And there's Eilish McColgan running on through. She's going to be close to her best time, but not quite. Just outside her best time, but a really brave performance. A great day for Eilish McColgan. I bet she's delighted that she overruled the doctors and said, I'm going to the championships, I don't care what you say. And there she is. Eilish McColgan, 22 years and 9 months of age, and that was a great run from her. I'm delighted for her in every sense, and her mother Liz will be very proud of her daughter, and Liz the coach has done a fantastic job with Eilish.
Yeah, strong finish from McColgan, and she will have years where the training goes better in terms of injury and health, and she will come back stronger. But we talked about it in the men's event, the Kenyans dominate, but they haven't done so in the women's. But here they have gold and silver to them, bronze to Assefa of Ethiopia.
Into the finishing straight, Milka Chemos nervous about the finish of Assefa. Well, Assefa fell, you know, and let's face it, that gap there wouldn't have been quite as much, and she had no great job coming back. And Chemos, I'm not surprised she was nervous, but her teammate Chepkurui finishing in second, the first Kenyan to win the women's steeplechase, and Eilish McColgan on her way to a 10th place finish, hanging on, running well. 9:37 for Eilish McColgan, so she's had 2 fine runs at these championships, and as she gets stronger and as she overcomes these injuries, Eilish McColgan is going to be a force to be reckoned with.
The Olympic champion Jen Suhr of the United States has got this vault to stay in this final and fight it out with Elena Isinbayeva. 4.89 meters. The Americans' last attempt now. Oh no, that was her worst attempt of all. So the Olympic champion has definitely got a medal, but will it be silver or will it be bronze? Yarisley Silva of Cuba still got one final attempt, but there's only one athlete clear so far, and that, of course, is Elena Isinbayeva. Olympic champion last year, Jen Suhr beat everybody. She beat Silva, she beat Isinbayeva, and she beat Silke Spiegelberg. Those 4 were all involved in that final. The American's got a medal, but she doesn't know which one.
Well, great drama in the pole vault, and drama something you know all about in the build-up to this championship. But there you are, top 10 in the world, having gone through all those nightmare injuries.
Yeah, I mean, if you told me that like a week ago, I would have taken it and I would have been like, perfect. But after I've run it, I just feel like there's a little bit more there. Maybe, I mean, I can't complain, I really can't complain. Top 10 in the world is far beyond where I was ranked, and if I hadn't ran on Saturday, that would have been a PB there. So, I mean, I've ran pretty much 2 PBs in the space of 3 days, and with the preparations I've had, I don't really know what I was expecting, but it's always different when you get in the race and you're there and you, I don't know, I would have liked to have come top 8 there. I feel like that's in my reach. Disappointed with the time, but it's just the middle section again. I'm slowing and I come back strong all the time, but I mean, hopefully with a bit more preparation, that'll be there next year.
Just going to pause for a second and go back live to the pole vault. We'll come back to you in a sec.
This effectively is for a silver medal for the Cuban. It's not to be. Isinbayeva is the champion. And the crowd have gone absolutely potty. They've won 2 gold medals, both out on the road in the walks. This is their first track and field gold medal. And where on earth has she gone? She is currently the darling of Russia. She's had a troubled last 12 months. She returned to her old coach, Yevgeny Trofimov, and he has put things right. She's back on top of the world. It's a 3rd world title. But can this bar go a little bit higher? I think it could be. Now, come on, Yelena, keep your composure. Yes. Now, what is she going to go to? Her world record is 5:06. The championship record is 5:01. The Olympic champion, Jenny Suhr, gives her congratulations, but she's played second fiddle to her today. There's one of her Russian teammates there. Well, the roll of honor is Asimbaeva, Jenny Suhr, and Yaroslay Silva of Cuba.
Well, it looks like it's very gracious of you to wait, but you can understand the excitement here tonight. You were talking about the atmosphere here tonight is electric and different than when you raced the other day.
I mean, it's unbelievable tonight. For my heat, it was very, very quiet. There was hardly anybody here. All the seats were empty. And one of the coaches today said to me, "Oh, be prepared. It's really loud when you get in there." And as soon as I walked through the doors, I could not believe the noise of it. It's nowhere, not as obviously as loud as London, but it's pretty close. And obviously, Asimbaeva's jumping tonight, which explains why there's such a big crowd. But yeah, it's amazing to see.
Now, before we let you go, just a word on your mum. Brendan Foster saying in commentary, obviously you're going to love her as your mum, but as a coach, the job she's done with you to get you here.
Yeah, I mean, it took a lot of sort of confidence in my mum in order for me to say, right, I'm going to listen to exactly what she's saying and do everything she says, because, I mean, she's been there, she's had serious injuries herself, but I mean, you're always going to question it a little bit, but the fact that she's been there and done it makes it so much easier for me to sort of take that on board. And I mean, I'm really, really grateful for the help that she's given me, and the support of UK as well has been unbelievable this year. And I mean, it's got me here, I suppose, so they've done pretty well.
And onwards and upwards from here. All the best, Eilish.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Thank you.
Just complete the result of the 3,000 metres steeplechase for women. Chemos won it, Chepkouri second. I wonder, Asefa third place after that fall, so close. What might have been, and not on that first page, but in 10th place, Eilish McColgan. And again, she'll be back, she'll be fitter and stronger, and she'll be better for this experience. What an experience.
So we have a new champion in the women's pole vault for the 3rd time during her career. Yelena Asimbaeva is the champion. And any thoughts of a world record? Well, they're definitely on. I understand that she's asked for the bar to be raised to 5 meters and 7 centimeters. That is a 1 centimeter increase over the mark that she set in Zurich back in 2009.
Well, you don't want that hair knocking the bar off, so get that safely tucked away, Yelena. And congratulations to her, another gold medal decided. And I think a gold medal to the guy who tried to get her autograph when she was in the crowd as well. That was a magnificent effort, but sadly thwarted. So we've got one more gold medal left tonight. It's the men's 400 metres. How do you win the one-lap special? Who better to ask than Michael Johnson?
Okay, the 400 meters, one lap, all or nothing.
Johnson wins it. What a performance.
Focus, focus, focus. Stay cool. Keep your head.
The Olympic champion becomes the world champion, LaShawn Merritt.
Stride after stride after stride.
Karani James is going to take gold.
Believe. Always believe. Remember last night?
LaShawn Merritt knows what he has to do.
Karani James picks it up.
Glory awaits. Legendary status awaits. It's yours to take.
Well, we started the show tonight looking at Kirani James as perhaps one of the names that, in the next few years are going to be one of those big stellar names of athletics, up there with the Dibabas and the Bolts. Winning tonight is an absolutely vital step on that journey. That really cements his brilliance and his place in the sport as someone who is going to be there championship after championship. But you've got LaShawn Merritt in the way.
Right, and this would be Kirani James's second World Championship. It will be 3 championships in a row. World Championships 2011, of course the Olympics last year in London, and then if he can win here, then he starts a streak of championship wins. And that's what it takes in order to be amongst the Dibabas and Usain Bolts and Shelly Ann Frasers and those sorts of people. Not very many people are doing that in the sport right now. I mean, you take Jeremy Warner from 2004 and dominated for 3 years, and then it was over, and then LaShawn Merritt took over. Now we have Kirani James, and so he has an opportunity here. But LaShawn, and I would give him the edge, because he's won the championship the last couple of years. He's run 43 seconds this year already. LaShawn Merritt, though, is a tough competitor. He's faster, and he's a great athlete and a great champion. But I think that what's really going to come into play here is the confidence that Kirani James has coming into this championship, off of an Olympic championship, but also the lane draw. So Kirani James is inside of LaShawn Merritt. That means LaShawn Merritt, knowing that the last race they raced together head-to-head, Kirani James won it. He's very strong. LaShawn knows that, and he knows that he's going to have him right inside of him. He's not going to be able to see what Kirani James is doing. So I think that's going to cause LaShawn to run just a little bit tight. But he's an experienced athlete, LaShawn Merritt. So, I'm sure that his coach, Lauren Seagrave, has talked to him about that and said, hey, look, run your race, put yourself in position, 100 meters to go, then use your speed, and all you can do at that point is just hold form, which he's very good at doing.
And Kirani James, how does he generally race? How should we expect him to go out?
I think today he's going to go out, he's going to keep his eye on LaShawn Merritt. He's going to run a safe race because he knows that he's strong. He's not going to go out and really try to blow it away or look for a record or anything like that. He's going to keep his eye on LaShawn Merritt. I think his race strategy is going to be, look, I'm behind my main competitor. There is no one else in this race that I really have to be concerned with, so I'm going to keep my eye on my main competitor. If he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing and giving an honest effort through the first 200 meters, then I run my race strategy. But if LaShawn Merritt's doing his thing, running a good 200 meters, what he's going to do is just keep his eye on him, bide his time, and at 200 to 300, expect him to start making a big move from that point, and then come off of the curve with 100 meters to go with a nice lead. And if he's got a great lead, no one's really going to catch him.
Okay, we're just going to go back outside again because Isinbayeva is going for this world record attempt. I believe the bar has been put up to world record height. And can you imagine if she jumps that, how the crowd are going to be at the start of this 400? An already electric atmosphere will go through the roof.
Just having a few last-minute discussions with the officials. Because she's the only athlete left in the competition, she does have slightly longer in which to undertake her vault. Still celebrating the victory. It's been a fascinating confrontation.
Well, I'm not sure she is going to vault again, but she's certainly waiting till this 400-meter final is over. We've got Majlak on the inside, Enriquez of Brazil in 2. We've got Mazrahi of Saudi Arabia, could be a contender for a medal in 3. We've got McQuay in 4, Kirani James, the defending champion, in 5, Merritt, former Olympic champion, in 6, Liguelan Santos, Olympic silver medalist, in 7, and Jonathan Borlée in 8. This is Mazrahi, superb run in the semi-final, a new national record. He's based in America. He's coached by John Smith. They know him pretty well. Tony McQuay, part of the American 4x4 squad as well. Last year, 44.66 this year. You know, Kirani James, who's in the lane outside him, at the age 14, he ran 46.96. He was the Grenada Sportsman of the Year when he was 16. He ran 45.7 at just 15 years of age. Are you surprised that he is already, at a tender age of 20, the world champion and the Olympic champion? Those 2 previous titles, 08 and 09, went to this man, LaShawn Merritt. He has beaten Kirani James in Eugene earlier in the year, but when they raced in Paris recently, when the world's fastest time was run by James, they were 1200ths apart. Santos looked like he was getting back to the sort of form that gave him the Olympic silver medal, still just 19 years of age. The future 400-meter running surely between him and James, and perhaps one or two others coming through. But tonight, Jonathan Borlée, ahead of his brother Kevin, making it through to the final. They almost exchange opportunities, don't they, these two? He was 6th behind his brother last year at the Olympics, but he is the Belgian record holder. Well, we had a two-person race in the women's 400, of course, last night, and it was a classic. And maybe an upset result. Are we heading for something similar here? Kirani James knows the American scene so well, of course. He was at the University of Alabama. Merritt outside him, the American, and McQuay inside him in 4. Men's 400-meter final. Merritt gets away very, very quickly, already taking a couple of yards out of Santos and indeed out of Kirani James. McQuay started pretty quickly as well, as has Borlée right on the outside, and Santos will finish quickly, so don't write him off. But through the first 200 metres, Kirani James and LaShawn Merritt are passing everybody. Merritt perhaps with a metre, half a metre advantage. Kirani James working hard around that top bend. The Americans making him have to work hard here to get back on terms. 2 metres ahead at the moment, and Kirani James is a long way back. Look at LaShawn Merritt going. Kirani James is disappearing. It's all about LaShawn Merritt. Merritt's going to take it. McQuay will get second. Tight for third. 43.74. What a performance from Merritt. He destroyed James. In chasing him down, James blew his chances out of the water. And I'm not sure he'll be able to hold his head up high and say he gave everything there, because once Merritt went away from him, he seemed to give up. And that's not a good sign from the youngster. But Merritt, supreme, and look how strong he is in the home straight. He knew he had to get out hard. He knew they'd be chasing him. Very, very tight on the line. Santos maybe got the bronze in the end from Borlée. We'll tidy that up. In fact, he definitely does. Well, Michael, LaShawn Merritt, absolutely unbelievable performance. And what about James?
Steve, that was a beautiful race. That was a phenomenal race by LaShawn Merritt. He took it out very, very hard in the first 200 meters, and I was a little bit afraid for him, honestly, taking it out that hard, but he took all of the sting out of Kirani James. Kirani James cannot match LaShawn Merritt's 200-meter speed. LaShawn Merritt came out here with a race plan, knew that he had Kirani James, the Olympic and world champion, behind him, but ran a beautiful race, perfectly executed tonight by LaShawn Merritt. And very, very well deserved. He's worked very hard to get this back. And I'm sure he's extremely happy after the injury last year knocked him out of the finals of the Olympic Games.
It's showtime in this wonderful stadium. Yelena Asimbaeva is orchestrating the crowd. She wants the applause. She wants the support even louder. She's attempting something nobody else in history has achieved. 5 meters and 7 centimeters. If the reports on her training are to be believed, she has cleared 5 meters 11 this season in training. She's got the world title. Now she wants another world record. What an anticlimax. Well, she's got 2 more attempts. Whether she takes them or not remains to be seen. And what a competition it's been. And what a 400-meter final we've just seen. But anything is possible when you're Yelena Asimbaeva.
7 men finished under 45 seconds. Kirani James only just 44.99, worst race of his young career. It was the American, the former world champion, former Olympic champion, is the world champion again. LaShawn Merritt with a world-leading time, 43.74. McQuaid, brilliant silver medal. Santos just pips Paulet for the bronze with the season's best, 44.52. Surely a very disappointed Kirani James with Phil now.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Kirani, can you explain what didn't go right for you tonight?
It just didn't work out. You know, some races, it works out perfect, the atmosphere, everything, the condition, you know, but it just didn't work out this time.
How much of an effect does it have on you in a race when LaShawn Merritt, who is billed as your big rival, starts putting his foot on the gas?
Well, you know, it's just poor execution on my end, you know, but I have to go back to the drawing board, get ready for next year, see what's going on.
Well, we know you're a great champion, world Olympic champion, so I'm sure you won't view this as anything other than on a blip going forward, but it's just a shock to all our systems, I suppose yours most of all.
Oh yeah, most definitely. You know, I didn't came into a world championship expecting this, you know, but it just moved forward from this.
Listen, thanks for talking to us. You're a real gentleman. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
LaShawn Merritt is world champion once again, and what a shock. Probably the shock race, Michael Johnson, of these championships so far. He wasn't just beaten, pipped like Moncho, he was annihilated.
Yeah, and you know, it's not such a shock that LaShawn Merritt won the race because, as we said, he's the faster, as I've said. I mean, he's got the talent, but it's the way that he won it and the way that Kirani lost it. I mean, it was amazing. I think that what happened there is LaShawn Merritt took the race out so fast, and I think that what happened with Kirani is that he didn't really feel that LaShawn was going to be able to keep this pace. I didn't think he was going to be able to keep that pace as well. He set off very, very quickly. This is faster than Kirani James wants to run at this point. He doesn't want to run this fast, but he's having to try to keep up. So right now, he's probably getting a little bit tighter than he would like to be. He's running tight, trying to catch up and keep up with the 200-meter speed that LaShawn Merritt has, which is very impressive, flat 200-meter speed. At this point, LaShawn is continuing, and which means that he's in great shape. What happens then with Kirani is at this point, he's in it, but he's been running so hard, harder than he expected to and much tighter, that I don't know that he gave up at this point, but that he just didn't have anything left. I don't believe he had anything left in the tank at this point. And so he ends up with 7th place. As you can see here, I mean, you watch Kirani James, there's no point in this race that he gives up, that you see him drop his shoulders or you see his hands start to come down or that he's not trying as hard. LaShawn Merritt just came into this race with a perfect strategy, not only to run the best race that he could today, but to take the sting out of Kirani James early. And it worked. It worked to perfection.
A great finish from McQuaid as well.
Great finish from McQuaid. I think Tony McQuaid is a much better athlete than that. You know, when you come back, I mean, hey, good on him to get a medal and to get a silver medal, but he could have run much faster than that. He had so much left at the end. I mean, he's still running faster than most athletes were running in the first half of the race and the second half of the race. But Llewellyn Santos, the young 18-year-old who comes in here a second championship in a row and gets a medal again, I'm very impressed with him.
And another Borley brother there, almost replacing his older brother, Kevin Jonathan, there on the line. It was just 4th for him. So good one for the Europeans, I guess, Denise.
Yeah, I'd say, because I'm still staggered by that race. It just did not pan out the way we expected at all. But very disappointed that the Borley didn't quite get the medal there.
Okay, well, that is the final gold of the evening. What an evening it's been so far. Robert Harting, the Olympic champion, added the World Championship to his medal tally. He really is a supreme discus thrower. The women's heptathlon, it was Melenchenko of the Ukraine who ended up winning it with a fabulous 800-meter run. And the 800-meter men's race was won by Aman Mohammed of Ethiopia. And the steeplechase, Eilish McColgan gave it a good go, but it was Milka Chemos of Kenya who took the gold. And possibly the most popular of medals this evening, the Russian Isinbayeva with the pole vault. But certainly the most shocking LaShawn Merritt, not that he won it, but that Kirani James raced the way he did. LaShawn Merritt, world champion once more. Well, let's have a little look back at some other events from the night, starting with that heptathlon and our very own Katarina Johnson-Thompson, because we haven't really had time, have we, to kind of fully look back at her couple of days here and her progress from London and what you thought, Denise, generally of her PBs, really, since that disappointing shot put yesterday.
I thought she's been really brilliant. I think you can't expect an athlete to just come into these championships and not normally do huge PBs all the time. You know, it just doesn't happen for a heptathlete. But what you did expect from Katarina is that she'd be competitive, and she's been just excellent. You know, that disappointing shot put, she picked herself back up, ran a super 200 meters. Day 2, out with another PB for the long jump, and then the javelin. You should have seen her face light up when she threw over 40 meters for the first time. So all in all, it's been fantastic. And then to close with the 800 meters, again, when it really mattered, she was able to deliver, and that bodes well for the future.
Yeah, another PB in the 800, as you say. She ran 2:07, and she's grown obviously from this experience. Where else do you think she needs to work on over the winter? What will it be that she needs to focus on particularly to improve further next summer?
Well, her shot was blatantly obvious. You know, it was just a case of bad body language, again not feeling comfortable with the technique, but she will grow from this. And we just, again, the crowd, we're going to look at her just coming in that 800 metres. It's just fantastic to see that she's able to dig deep and claw back and really try to fight for that medal. It was 5th place, but a new personal best overall. Fantastic result.
Jessica Ennis-Hill, watching at home, tweeted, "Your medal will come." And it's certainly, on the performance of the last 2 days, you feel that she's going to be around for a while and she will reap the rewards. This lady's reaping hers tonight. She's already world champion, Isinbayeva. She's going for a world record in the pole vault. This is her second attempt. Let's go back out to Paul Dickinson.
What a moment. What an athlete. Well, I was saying before that she said around about July the 23rd that her career will finish after the World Championships, but then after the qualifying competitions she said, I'm not going to end my career. I'm going to start a family, and then I'll try and return and reclaim all my gold medals. Well, there's an extra one she's got to try and reclaim now, because she's already become the world champion for the 3rd time during a remarkable career, and now she's trying to set her 29th world record. Listen to the crowd. This is real theatre. And what a giant stage. She's got all to herself now. She wasn't a million miles away, but she really knows how to milk a crowd, that's for sure. The drama has not finished yet, though, because she's still got one more attempt if she wants it. The roll of honour is exactly the same as it was in London, but the order is slightly different. On that occasion, Isinbayeva was expected by the London crowd and everybody else to take the Olympic title once more, but she didn't. It went to Jen Suhr of the United States, Yaroslav Silva of Cuba in 2nd, and the athlete in your picture in 3rd place, with Spiegelberg of Germany in 4th, just as she was today. So the medalists are the same, but this time it's Isinbayeva, the champion, Suhr of the United States, the silver, and Silva of Cuba, the bronze.
Busiest and most electric evening here at Luzhniki Stadium, with all the races over, all the medals decided. It seems fitting that Yelena Isinbayeva has got the floor to herself, because she does like it, doesn't she? She kind of milks that whole atmosphere, and she's loving the crowd being here, Paula.
She is your original performer, and I think she really can rival Bolt in playing to the gallery and getting the crowd involved. And this crowd wants nothing more than her to clear that world record right now. They're going nowhere until she does it. But
they just glanced at the 400. Yeah, that happened, and then we'll carry on looking here at the pole vault. She's had some great quotes actually, and recently she said she was going to finish 100 100% after these championships. Said that in July. That's it, I'm over. And then a few weeks later, no, I'm going to have some children first, then I'm going to come back and get my gold medal. So she's got it all sorted out, Denise. Let's see if she's got this world record sorted out and go back to Paul Dickinson.
Well, we're just having a look at the pole vault bar, which has been remeasured, but Mark Butler, our statistician, just came bounding down the steps behind me here and said, I wonder if she's going to have the bar put up by another centimetre. She's done that in the past, had a couple of failures and thought, well, why not? So just waiting for the possibility of a new height to be declared, but all the marker boards out in the arena still say 5 metres and 7 centimetres. Well, we used to rave about Sergei Bubka. There are the figures. Of course, Sergei Bubka setting so many world records and winning 6 world titles. 6 world titles. That's never been done before and possibly will never be done again. So the stage is set once more for Asimbaeva if she wants to. It looks as though she will attempt 5:07 for the third time.
Well, she's putting a tracksuit back on. It's not that chilly in here, is it? But she's obviously using the absolute maximum amount of time that she's allowed in between each jump.
What she'll be doing now is visualising what she needs to do, her approach. She had clear instructions from her coach. And so it's about not rushing. You know, you don't rush a world record attempt. You take your time. And as you said, this crowd are just so up for it. We haven't heard a night like this, have we, since we've been here? And so for her, she's just going to enjoy this moment. You know, she's in her home.
Well, they've had a very good day, haven't they, with the walks this morning as well, the Russians. So they're really getting into this championship tonight. So hopefully this will feed on for the rest of the week. Maybe they can bring her back. Well,
I have to say, we weren't sure of what kind of championships it was going to be, really. But I think it's delivered on unpredictability, for sure, and excitement. Yes, a bit disappointed about the crowds, but tonight, when it really matters, they've come out in their droves to support their darling.
Absolutely. OK, let's have a little look back at the 800 metres. The men's 800 metres tonight with a field that had no Olympic champion David Rudisha, no silver or bronze medalist either. It was a wide open race, Paula. This is the last lap.
It was wide open, and Dwayne Solomon really did his teammate Nick Symmonds a big favour by leading it out as fast as he did. You see the French athlete boss in third place really pays the price now for having gone with that fast first lap. And I think Andrew Asagi ran a clever race, and he ran the best race that he could with the cards that he was dealt and the training he's been able to do this year. So he's way back off here, but he's actually got more left in his legs, so you know that he's going to come back. If he had been with Lewandowski, where Lewandowski in the white vest of Poland is, then I think he really could have got up there and challenged for a medal. But here now, I think Symmonds hits the front and he thinks he's won it. He's thinking, thank you very much, teammate. I'll take it from here. But Aman is closing on the outside. He's just got more left in his legs, and the minute he draws level with Nick Symmonds there, Nick Symmonds knows it's all over and he's got nothing left to respond with.
And well done, Asagi, dipping on the line there, Michael, to take fifth off Solomon. You know, that extra place, it looks good in the record books, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, a good effort by Asagi. I think that, you know, to come in there into this championship and compete with, you know, what was a pretty quick pace for 800 meters, and you know, it was a pretty good performance by him. I would like to have seen him stay with the pack a little bit more, and I think he'll learn a lesson from this championship.
And the American too there, who've missed out so many times. Pleased for them, pleased for Symmonds?
Yeah, I'm pleased with Symmonds. That's a very good finish for him, a very good effort, solid effort for him from the very beginning of these championships, and he's been running very, very well this year. And I think Dwayne Solomon has a very bright future as well. Yeah,
he has been running very well on the circuit, hasn't he, up to this, and sadly it wasn't his race today. Let's go back out. I think Asimbaeva has now got tracksuit off, pole in hand, ready to go.
This is it. The competition is finished. But are we about to see a little bit of history? I don't think the World Championships in the past has experienced anything like the atmosphere we've got here. Goodness only knows what the television channels in Moscow and the newspaper coverage will be about tomorrow. She is front page news all the way. can this be yet another world record performance from one of the greatest athletes on earth? No, it can't, but that only tells half the story. It's another World Championship gold medal for Jelena Osenbaeva. She's won everything the sport has to offer her at least once. 3 world titles, 2 Olympic titles, Athlete of the Year as declared by the governing body of the sport, and numerous world records. Please do not retire. This sport needs you. Thank you very much indeed, she says. Well, it's us who should be thanking her. She reigns supreme in an athletic stadium once again. And that, for me, is one of the performances. That wasn't bad either. That was one of the best performances we've seen in these championships so far. And let's not forget, Jen Suhr of the United States and Yaroslay Silva of Cuba put up a tremendous fight. At one point, it certainly looked as though the American was going to win the title. But then this woman came back with a supreme effort. The only athlete to clear 4 meters 89. Silver and bronze go to Jen Suhr and Silva of Cuba, both clearing 4 meters 82. There's the bronze medalist, having won silver in London last year. There's Jen Suhr. And this competition has provided a great story. If you were here to watch it, it won't exactly go down in folklore, but you can say you were here. Wonderful stuff. Oh my goodness. So many of the pole vaulters were former gymnasts, and Osenbaeva is no exception. But what an athlete she is. What a pole vaulter. What an athlete. Almost a great actress too. But the darling of Russia, certainly the darling of Moscow and of this stadium. What a brilliant end to what's been a fantastic day of track and field athletics. Not all due to this woman, but largely so. And if Sergei Bubka is going to come out and congratulate us, surely he must. There's our mascot. She really is delighted. Having been in the doldrums since London last year, she's come back in the best possible way. Lovely moment. And for the record books, there's the result. A season's best. Well, it seems superfluous having attempted a new world record. But 4 meters 89 will go down as the gold medal winning performance in the record books for Jelena Osenbaeva. Possibly one of the greatest athletes in history. Jen Suhr of the United States, Olympic gold medalist 12 months ago. She got the silver medal, and Yaroslay Silva of Cuba, still a fine young vaulter, 4 meters 82 for the bronze.
Well, coming up to 10:15 local time, it says it all that most of the crowd are still here. They want to eke out every last drop of this performance. You know, she is on the poster as well. There's a pole vaulter with a long plait. We can read into that what you might, but she's on the poster, she's on the accreditation. She is the poster girl of these championships, and I guess in comparable way, living up to the pressure that the poster girl of London, Jessica Ennis-Hill, had to, and maybe Mo Farah as well, the pressure, and she has just delivered under that kind of pressure.
Yes, and who would doubt her? Who would? I mean, the thing is, it's just so wonderful to have her back. She lights up the stadiums, and you know, we think about Bolt and how magnificent he was. She was really just the face of IAAF athletics. She's just been everywhere. And
Would
so
you say put off the babies for a while then, would you?
I'd love to not lose her again, really. She's been brilliant for the sport.
Well, maybe this will whet her appetite to stay a little bit longer. Okay, and the other day you may have seen we reunited two roommates from the 1980 Olympic Games. They had so much to talk about that it goes to part two. So here are Brendan and Seb once more.
There is a truth to sport.
Coe has done what he's always wanted to do.
London 2012 will inspire a generation.
And there goes Coe.
One day we will tell our children and our grandchildren that when our time came, we did it right.
Coe gets the revenge he wants.
What about Los Angeles? Was that joyous compared with Moscow?
I
or?
enjoyed Los Angeles more than I enjoyed Moscow, because I guess that when you win an Olympic title, you've almost paid your dues. And so between 80 and 84, I'm a completely different person.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I went to 84, I knew that this would be a big, big, momentous occasion. But I just knew it couldn't remotely be what coming down the steps into Moscow with you on the famous British Airways flight with our rather dodgy blue suits. That it could never ever be of that order.
Yeah. You've gone through the 800 metres in fantastic performances in 800 metres, which is often overlooked.
And Coe challenges, but cruises away, and he's not going to be caught. And Coe comes into the silver medal position that he got 4 years ago.
But the 1500 metres, we had Steve Ovett, Steve Cram, the world champion, and yourself, 3 British athletes. I mean, glorious times for British athletics.
I mean, extraordinary period for British athletics.
And straight away, Coe goes into the lead, determined not to get boxed.
It's like high-speed chess, really. You have to continually be aware, well, where's the exit? Where's the gap here? If they come up on the inside or the outside and I'm stuck there, how do I get out of that?
Steve Cram in the middle of the bunch there has said he won't leave it till the last 200 metres. He'll go before then. Coe will probably wait. So I can see the medals going to our boys between Coe and Cram.
No athlete ever reaches perfection, but I don't think I ever raced better.
Britain 2, 3 and 4 with a lap to go.
I never ever thought I'd see the day when we had 3 Britons in the first 4. And sadly, Steve stepped off the track there.
It was sad, and it would have been great to finish 1, 2, 3. The only thing that's going through my mind at the moment is don't let that guy in front of me, because Steve made a big effort then, and I've been at the wrong end of Steve when he'd gone to the front. Steve was one of those athletes that really used to enjoy the long run for home. He just became empowered.
Well, we destroyed him there in the finishing straight.
Coe comes away to retain the Olympic title. Sebastian Coe, back at his best, is the Olympic champion again.
Different reaction today.
Yeah.
You're shouting at people, so you're Mr. Angry.
Yeah. Well, I'd sort of had a bit of a serving from the press room a few months beforehand. 2
Olympic gold medals, world records in the collection. And then for my money, there's only one athletic performance left you haven't done. You started off trying to win the 800 metres at a major title in 78. You tried again in 80. You tried again in 82.
Yeah,
you tried again in 84.
I was consistent.
But you've been the fastest 800 metre runner in the world.
I've been the fastest 800 metre runner for the best part of 6 or 7 seasons. And I'd won a couple of Europa Cups and a World Cup, but they didn't really count.
Yeah.
And I needed a gold medal in a recognised championship. And I knew that this was probably my last chance.
Well, it was the European Championships.
This race always makes me laugh because I didn't even dare to tell my old man how I was going to run this. I knew how I was going to run this. I was going to run it from the back.
Yeah.
And my mum, who was sitting with my dad in the stand, said he was almost having a heart attack when, suddenly I just drifted off the back. And he thought, oh my God, I'm watching Moscow again.
Cram in his familiar position at the back, keeping out of trouble. Coe is boxed, got in his worst place there. He's had to check back.
Crammy was in the form of his life. And I thought, no, I'm going to follow him today.
So you were at the back?
So I'm off the back here. And there is a moment, actually, I laughed with Steve the other day because there is a moment when he's looking around to try and figure out where I am, and I'm so close behind him because he's so tall, he couldn't actually see that I was on his shoulder.
A dramatic move on the outside by Sebastian Coe. Can this be his first title? Sebastian Coe wins at last. And Coe has done what he's always wanted to do.
So that was it. Gold medal in the major championships at 800, world records, Olympic titles, and your career is kind of winding down. In 1990, when you finally retired from athletics, you must have looked back with huge satisfaction, and you'd travelled a really, really exciting journey.
Yeah, it was a fantastic decade to be involved. I mean, you think I came into the team sort of 77, my first European Indoor Championships, and we'd come off a relatively disappointing. I mean, you were the only track medalist in Montreal. Mm-hmm. You know, we'd probably had our worst ever showing at an Olympic Games in track and field. And then suddenly to be a part of a team that you travelled abroad, and there was Tessa Sanderson and Daley Thompson and the young Roger Black and Crammy and Ove. I mean, it was an extraordinary team to be involved in. I mean, it was the envy of the world.
You then moved into politics, just regular as an MP. Did you think that's my sporting life behind me, or?
I've always just enjoyed the atmosphere. You know, I would be watching track and field if I didn't have an accreditation or the IAAF or UK Athletics around my neck. I would be watching track and field. That's what I do. So I always knew instinctively that one day sport would probably, you know, take me back in one way or another.
Well, nicely segueing into our next guest here, Wilson Kipketer, who spent a long time, I imagine, Wilson, looking at Seb Coe and thinking, I'm going to get that record, which you eventually did.
Yeah, I was looking anyway, you know, I mean, when I started running, so I know the record was, been there for 16 years, so I said, so it's my time to do it, and I was really looking forward to that.
It's great to have you here, especially on the night of the 800-metre final. What did you make of tonight's final?
Yeah, tonight I think some few mistakes they made, you know, the first 200 were too fast, and I think they are not fast enough, but then I predict a man, and he did the right thing because I know he's very strong in the last 100 meters, so he did that very well. But all in all, so the race was really good.
Yeah, because in the earlier rounds, he didn't quite look like he might be on his best form. So was that a little bit of mind games, do you think?
Yeah, in a way, maybe it was a mind game, but maybe he was not ready yet, you know, when he comes to the final. So maybe he was a little bit motivated and he see that he can do it. So I think maybe he was not sure about that, but then in the final, so he was sure he's going to do it.
And the first gold medal that Ethiopia had won below 5,000 metres at the World Championship. So a big landmark, a big moment.
I think Ethiopia are coming now, because if you see he's coming now down, you know, I mean, even in 10,000 now you see it's nobody, so I think they are going now to the sprints maybe.
They're moving around, spreading the talent, Paula.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to, Wilson, what do you think for the 5,000 metres? Do you think that the Kenyans and the Ethiopians will work together as a team, or do you think that they will not be able to coordinate it like they did in the 10K?
Yeah, the way I analyze it, I think the Kenyan team now, they are still young, so they are still maturing, you know, and the Ethiopian also, they have the young generation, you know, Haile and Bikile, they are gone, so this is the new generation. They have to learn how to train, how to run, and how to work together, so they are still working divided. And then Kenya, so you see, all of them, they were in London last year, they are not here, so this is the new group coming now, so it's...
And let me talk to you about that, because of course you took Seb's record, and then last year in London we saw that magnificent run by David Rudisha, and I think this whole championship really is the poorer for not having him here, isn't it? You know, it was such a magnificent race in London. What was that like for you?
No, in London, you know, I was shaking. You know, I think I shook for the last, maybe after you won the race, so for the first 15 minutes I was still shaking, you know, watching, running. But then it was his own record, but it still was really a good race.
One of the best, Seb Coe
One of
said.
the best, yeah. And then when he's not here now, so you see, so the atmosphere of middle distance now is going down. But I hope Aspel can do that in 1500 tomorrow.
And let's talk a little bit more about Mo Farah. Paula was specifically asking you about the race and the way that the Kenyans and Ethiopians may approach that race. What have you made of Mo over the last 12 months?
For me, you know, I was in Monaco when he ran 3:28, you know, the European record. So for me, I know so he's in really good shape. But then the Kenyan and Ethiopia work together to say maybe the last 1,000 meters to run very fast, I think Mo could be having trouble. But then for him, he's in very good shape. So I think he's continuing from last year and now, so he's really in the focus of the game.
What do you think, Paula? Do you think they will make it certainly a more tactical race than it ended up being, the 10K? Because nobody really got it together, did they, to give him a challenge there?
No, they didn't coordinate in the 10K, although it wasn't that slow, so it still will have taken energy from Mo. Having said that, this morning in the 5,000 metre heats, I think he looked better than he did in the heats in the Olympics last year. And I think he's grown as an athlete, he's stronger endurance-wise, even though he hasn't really been tested on that so far this year, so he hasn't had a chance to show that to the others. But if they're trying to beat him, I think that's the only way that they're going to do it. They do have to make it hard from the start and see if he's lacking endurance-wise. I don't think he is, and I hope he's not. But I think that would be the only way to test him, because waiting... Gebre Hewitt's fast, but I just think that Mo's just got that edge and that factor over them at the moment. And I think they're scared of him. They're waiting to see what he's doing. He goes to the front time and time again. They let him go to the front, and then he controls it from there. The minute anybody tries to come past him, he's forcing them to run wide. And he's sometimes playing with them. He's just going there just to slow it down, and yet they let him do it.
Well, it is on Friday, that 5K final, and Mo really wants you to watch.
Have a cup of tea, chill out. Mo's in the race. You've got to have that confidence. You've got to believe in yourself. You've got to go in every race knowing that, yes, I'm going to win. Well, I'll fight to the line. The final thing's going to be quite exciting.
This is world domination for Farah.
Yep, 5:45, 2 o'clock on Friday, cup of tea, although it's the end of the working week. Be forgiven for having something a little bit stronger if you want. Wilson, what do the Africans make of Mo? You know, he's kind of the interloper, isn't he? He's come in there and broken up a bit of a duopoly between Ethiopia and Kenya.
I think so. Mo is like, so you know, he went to Kenya to train with them, so he learned a little bit their weakness. So I think so for him, he was like investigating them, knowing how they are training. So he has been working on that, and then now Mo Farah, he understood really about the running. So you know, he's getting mature. Like anyway, starting from the European Championship, he's winning, and he's getting confident. And then breaking the European record in 1500, so he gets more confident. You know, he has the speed.
It's ominous what Wilson said earlier about the Ethiopians moving down to sprints, Michael. After 800, it's 400 next, you know.
Yeah, I don't think the sprinters are too worried. I don't think the sprinters are too worried. Tactics don't work. Teamwork doesn't work down there in the sprints.
Yeah, it's all or nothing. Sorry, Paula, you were going to say.
No, I was just going to ask Wilson out of interest, what do you think Mo could run over 800 metres?
Yeah, this I think he can run. For me, if he can run now, he can run 144. So.
That's some impressive range.
Alberto Salazar.
So 320.
That's not Alberto Salazar training. You know, he likes for the guys that train like sprinters, and that's been the thing that Alberto has been obsessed with. You know, years ago he came to me and said, "Look, you know, I'm looking at what Bekele's doing over the last, 200, 400 meters, and and it's impressive." So that's what he's focused on.
Yeah, he's absolutely come on, hasn't he, in the last couple of years. Fingers crossed for Friday. No afternoon or evening session tomorrow, which means that your only live athletics will be at 6:30 in the morning on BBC Two, and you can watch the Cold War Olympics later on. That'll be on at 6:30 on BBC Two. It's been another cracking evening here, largely down to the local lass, Yelena Isinbayeva, world champion, gave the crowd here exactly what they wanted. We'll see you live on Thursday.
This could be the start of something good. This could be our rocket to the moon. When I pushed it, nothing seemed